again, but I had a patient come in. He was in his mid 70s. He had tweaked his knee. He thought that, he would give it time, he would rest it, and then he wanted to get back on the pickleball courts with his wife, but he couldn't get back to being active because it hurt too much. We treated him, and by his second treatment with us, he said that he was back to being on the courts, and by the time he finished treatment, he said his knees felt better than they did before he injured himself.
Oh, that's wonderful, because chronic pain, it's like you're trapped in hell. It is the worst.
So we want to make sure that no one's feeling that way.
So what happens after the procedure? Like, what is the downtime?
The great thing about our treatments is that there is no downtime. I've had people leave my office, go straight to work. I had an elevator mechanic who did a procedure with me, and then 20 minutes later, he was on his job site. So the wonderful thing is that you don't have to worry about taking time off of work or missing events with your friends and family. You get to go back to your normal activities immediately.
And the consultation is free, folks, so you have nothing to lose. Saturday appointments available. The number to call is 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955.
Your local State Farm agent, Anthony DeGrotto, combines good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates. You can combine your home, auto, and life insurance to not only save you money, but give you the peace of mind you've been looking for. Anthony DeGrotto is your go-to agent in Chicagoland. He and his team will work for you to provide the best service you expect at the price you want. Combine your home, auto, and life insurance today. Anthony DeGrotto will help you mix and match things perfectly. His State Farm office is a top pick 2024 Daily Herald Reader's Choice Award winner. He's a proud supporter of Tunnel to Towers and like-minded as you. His State Farm agency is currently looking to add members at their Roselle office. Call Anthony at 847-895-1500 today or visit DeGrottoSF.com. That's DeGrottoSF.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. It's been shocking to witness the handling of the 2 assassination attempts on former President Trump. They've been downplayed, and Trump has even been accused of bringing the attacks on himself. In normal times with any other nominee, the investigations would be leading the news. We'd know about the attackers. Those who played important roles in saving a politician would be profiled and valorized. Instead, the attacks have been allowed to fade from public consciousness. Television and print media figures have sometimes subtly and sometimes not so subtly engaged in what's known as victim blaming. Yes, blaming Trump. The media handling of the assassination attempts has been morally reckless. By the downplaying and the victim blaming, they've essentially normalized 2 assassination attempts. It's an evil genie, and it's not clear how to put it back in the bottle once it escapes. This behavior needs to stop now.
I'm worried about Mom. She's having a tough time moving around the house.
Oh, I know. She still thinks she can do everything on her own.
Exactly, but I've been over there every day this week, helping her navigate the stairs, cooking meals, reminding her to take her medicine. I'm always nervous when I leave.
You know what? I admire you for taking care of Mom. But your family needs you too. And what if she slips and falls? A friend recommended the caregivers at Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. They service Cook, DuPage, Kane, and Will counties. They guarantee compatibility, and they'll conduct a free safety assessment of her home. Plus, they'll provide as little or as much care as Mom needs.
Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest, offering both hourly and live-in care. Schedule a free assessment today by calling 331-281-0728. That's 331-281-0728. Again, that's 331-281-0728. And tell them AM 560 sent you. Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Senior care, only better.
If you own or run a business and you listen to AM 560, you might not realize that the conservative programming that you enjoy is supported by advertisers. Our loyal listeners love to do business with the advertisers they hear every day on AM 560. Now, it probably won't surprise you that there are some businesses who avoid advertising with us because they don't like what we do here. And that's okay, because our audience wants to support businesses that support what we do and think like we think. We would love to have you join the list of successful companies who are already reaching new, like-minded customers. Most AM 560 advertisers have been here for years for one simple reason: they get results. Join our efforts to make a difference in the lives of our listeners who are passionate about supporting our great family of AM 560 advertisers. To learn more, just visit 560theanswer.com/advertise. That's 560theanswer.com/advertise.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So Kamala Harris made her way to the border. Now, next up, Europe, places she hasn't been to. Made her way to the border on Friday for a photo op pointing to the border wall, saying that's a border wall. But remember, Kamala Vault here, under no circumstances will she ever vote for, or I guess that would translate into, lead the charge for border wall funding. That's what she said when she was running for president the first time around back in 2020.
Let me ask you, would you be willing to vote for a bill, a compromise piece of legislation that includes money for the border wall that you called his medieval vanity project?
Well, who is going to vote for a medieval vanity project?
It wouldn't say that in the bill.
A little differently.
It wouldn't say it in the bill. Would you be willing to vote for some border security money, wall money, barrier money, to give permanent protection to DACA children, DACA young people like Cecilia? Would you be willing to make that exchange?
Let me be very clear. I'm not going to vote for a wall under any circumstances, and I do.
And I'm not going to vote for a wall under any circumstances, repeat for emphasis. So that was her position then. Her position has been modified a bit of late because, of course, attendant to her appearance at the border was this rollout of things that now she says should be done and could be done, even though her explanation for the problems at the border, the 10 million people here illegally, all the criminals documented now in that report on Friday, bad timing for her.
Yeah.
All that stuff couldn't be done before because of that bipartisan legislation that she blathers on about. But yet she proposed stricter asylum rules, vowing more border prosecutions. She'll propose, she did propose during her visit to the border in Arizona, extending policies to make asylum more difficult for migrants to qualify for, ramping up prosecutions for those who illegally cross the border.
Uh-oh, I thought that wasn't illegal.
That's not even a crime. Yeah.
It is wrong to somehow suggest that an undocumented immigrant is a criminal. Being an undocumented immigrant is not a crime. I know what a crime looks like. An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal. An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal. An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal.
And when Kamala starts saying something, she repeats it everywhere she goes. And so that's Kamala Unplugged over many years at many stops. Being an undocumented immigrant, meaning coming here illegally, is not a crime, but yet she is vowing on Friday to ramp up prosecutions of those who illegally cross the border.
And that 20-minute photo op, though, at Douglas, Arizona, with her $62,000 Tiffany necklace, because, she's middle class just like us, was such a joke. And they had two guys cross over about a half hour before she got there, and they rushed and arrested them right away for, God forbid, if she sees, or while she's there, if people are crossing in the background.
Well,
she's a phony fraud.
That's a Kamalism.
Yeah, that actually
from
is.
The Department of Redundancy Department. Phony fraud.
I listened to her too much this week.
Bill Maloogian reporting from the border, doing serious reporting from the border, serious appearance at the border, unlike Kamala's pro forma photo op. Maloogian on this information that the acting ICE director provided to Congressman Tony Gonzalez about the number of criminals in this country, convicted criminals in this country that ICE is currently tracking, as well as the number of people charged with crimes other than crossing the border illegally that ICE is also tracking. The numbers are rather jarring, or at least they should be received as such. We'll see. As Molly Hemingway said, in a sane country, the numbers you're about to hear would be disqualifying for whoever was the responsible party. But America's only about a half-sane country these days.
Yeah, and Sandra, bear with me. We just got these numbers moments ago, but it's a jaw-dropper to say the least. So to set the stage here, let me just explain what these numbers mean. ICE has something called a non-detained docket. Essentially what that is it means migrants who were encountered by DHS but are no longer in federal custody. So who's on this non-detained docket? It's illegal immigrants who were caught and released at the border, released with the court date years away. They're in immigration proceedings, combined with illegal immigrants who have already been ordered deported from the country by a judge but are still here roaming the country. So keep that in mind, this non-detained docket. According to a letter that the acting director of ICE just sent to Texas Congressman Tony Gonzalez, on ICE's non-detained docket, they're currently tracking 425,000 non-citizens who have been convicted of a crime. Of that number, over 13,000 non-citizens have convictions for homicide and are on the non-detained docket, meaning they're roaming the country right now. On top of that, there are another 15,811 non-citizens convicted of sexual assault who are roaming the country right now on ICE's non-detained docket. It doesn't stop there. Those are convictions. The ICE director also says there are currently just under 1,900 non-citizens on the non-detained docket who have pending homicide charges who are roaming the country, and another 4,250 non-citizens who have pending sexual assault charges who are roaming the country on the non-detained docket. So people's eyes might be glazing over right now with all the numbers we just threw at you. Just to put it in a nutshell right here, what we've learned from the acting ICE director via this letter to Congressman Tony Gonzalez is right now there are over 13,000 illegal aliens convicted of homicide who are roaming the United States right now. There are another 15,811 illegal aliens roaming the country right now who have been convicted of sexual assault, and there are even more who are facing charges for homicide and charges for sexual assault. So this just goes to show, guys, the non-detained docket has exploded under the Biden administration to over, I believe it's 7.3 million. They're anticipating it could hit 8 million by the end of the year. But looking at the numbers on this letter right here, there are currently over 600,000 non-citizens on ICE's non-detained docket who are either convicted, 600,000 non-citizens on this non-detained docket who are roaming the country right now. Of that, 425,000 have already been convicted of crimes. 222,000 are pending crimes.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can also text us on that line. I mean, Dan, this is the biggest crime story in our country's history. Wasn't on MSNBC, wasn't on Drudge. NBC News lightly touched on it. Should be everywhere.
We could spend every morning of every day for 4 hours on this show just telling the stories of people who've been violated, victimized by people in this country illegally. This is why it's unfortunately so easy to tell the stories of the murders and the sexual assaults and the other grievous offenses. Because how many times does one have to say it? A small percentage of a big number can be a real big problem. And so a small percentage of the people who've come to this country illegally who are predators turn out to be a big problem. 600,000 people, or even just the 425,000 that are convicted that are wandering around.
Kind of a big deal.
That's a big number.
And in addition, 2,500 kidnapping convictions.
Not to mention all of the violations committed against people trying to make their way to this country.
Oh, yeah.
You know, all of the great repositories of empathy on the left And yet, story after story, we could tell these stories as well every single day. Mother, 2 daughters sentenced for labor trafficking undocumented children in the Chicago suburbs. Oregon mom, daughter indicted for trafficking Haitians into indentured servitude at adult home care in Oregon. We could tell those stories, too. So you want to challenge your neighbor who supports this open borders travesty as to their empathy, their concern for their fellow man, their treating their neighbor as they would themselves and so forth. This to me, and I said this last week, just separating out all the packaging of it, just platforming the stories, the commentaries that are being offered at town board meetings around this country, just inundating the airwaves and the interweb with story after story of people who are playing by the rules in this country of every race, creed, and religion, and who are suffering under the consequences of this policy that Kamala is trying to run away from. But the record is replete that it's her policy. It's not something she was compelled to go along with because she's only the vice president. It was something she has been saying, all of these open borders positions she's taken, something she has been saying of her own volition since she was a San Francisco district attorney, and said of her own volition when she was running for president in 2020.
And don't forget this picture. Did you see this? When Biden and Harris sent forklifts to open the border, after Governor Abbott put up the razor wire, they knew exactly what they're doing. How did they not know these numbers? Would this be news to them, Dan? This 420,000 who are convicted, not accused, convicted criminals that are in this country.
You're going to break a few eggs to make an omelet. Corey in Woodlawn.
Hey, thanks for taking the call, Dan. Morning, Amy. They're not taking this serious. This is why laughing gas Harris is constantly on the television, laughing at everything they say. They're not taking this serious. Every time the Texas people try to get something fixed down there, they went down there and destroyed it. They put it in court. They're not trying to fix this border. So for her to say anything other, it's just laughable.
Thanks, Corey. Coming up at 5:38. Speaking of Kamala, the border czar, we have a new parody song to enter into the 2024 cycle. You'll hear it at 5:38.
And we'll take more of your phone calls, so hold on the line or call in 312-642-5600. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
64 degrees at 5:31. 2 million people in the Southeast without power. 250,000 without cell service. It all follows the remnants of Hurricane Helene.
We now have 30 confirmed losses due to the storm.
Buncombe County Sheriff Quentin Miller, flooding in Asheville and other parts of western North Carolina described as biblical levels.
I think we got a lot of systems back online. We've got some water coming to the county for folks who still don't have water service.
That's Allison Richmond with Haywood County Emergency Services with just a slight bit of good news, as residents can now get clean drinking water from a tanker there in the town of Canton. Officials in Buncombe County also say reports of a dam failing there this morning are false.
The dam at Beatree is functioning as it was engineered, and the water is coming through the spillway as is the appropriate function.
North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper says his priority is getting people out and getting supplies in. President Biden says FEMA officials are on the ground starting in Florida.
Yes, it's tragic. Matter of fact, we're trying to get the exact number. My FEMA advisor is on the ground in Florida right now.
As the death toll climbs over 100, hundreds are reported missing, fully 1/3 in North Carolina. Evacuations taking place in the Atlanta area after a chemical plant fire reignited. Flames were put out Sunday, but sparked back up a few hours later. Man authorities say was lying in wait in hopes of assassinating former President Donald Trump on a golf course in Florida, expected to be arraigned today. 58-year-old Ryan Ruth was arrested earlier this month after Secret Service agents found him hiding in bushes near Trump's golf club. Israeli airstrikes hit central Beirut, striking an apartment building with several terrorists inside. Fox's Nate Foy is observing in Tel Aviv.
Israeli airstrikes continue inflicting serious damage on several terrorist organizations, not only Hezbollah, also a Hamas leader taken out overnight in Lebanon along with his family, as well as 3 Palestinian militants from a separate organization in central Beirut, an area that had not been hit to this point of the conflict. The Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine is the group that the 3 militants belong to. They say the strike hit the upper floor of an apartment building, but another strike from Israel sent an even bigger message yesterday. Israel hit Yemen's port city of Hodeidah. This is retaliation after Yemen's Houthi rebels fired 2 missiles at Tel Aviv last week.
Fox's Nate Foy, Israel is urging Lebanese civilians again to get away from suspected Hezbollah positions. President Biden says no, we will not get involved in a potential strike of longshoremen. Thousands of dock workers are threatening to walk off the job this week after a labor contract and ongoing talks with the Maritime Alliance stalled. Bears bounce back with a 24-18 win over the Rams at Soldier Field. DeAndre Swift, 93 yards on 16 carries on the ground, 7 catches, 72 yards through the air. 1 person is dead after being shot Sunday near Illinois State University. Police say the shooting happened as normal police were trying to disperse a large pop-up party around 3:45 a.m. A 2-year-old girl is recovering following a shooting on Chicago's southwest side. The victim shot Saturday night inside of a home in the 2500 block of West 61st. Cubs had just 3 hits and a 3-0 season-closing 10-inning loss to the Reds at Wrigley Field, while the worst team in modern Major League Baseball history ends its season with a win yesterday. White Sox beating the Tigers 9-5 at Comerica Park. The news service of In Grace with Jim Scudder Jr. Tune in and find hope each Sunday morning right here on AM 560. The Answer. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
This radio station is always on, but sometimes you need more content that you can take with you anywhere. That's why we invented the SalemPodcastNetwork.com. You'll find all the great hosts on this radio station, plus a few more, like Charlie Kirk, Dinesh D'Souza, Trish Regan, Jenna Ellis, and Dennis and Julie. There's literally no end to what we can teach you. It's like radio on demand, and just like radio, it's always on. Go find out what you're missing. Download the app, SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
Exercise and a healthy diet can help, but that can be hard, especially as we start to get older. It's like the choice between taking the stairs or waiting for the elevator. Sometimes the easier option can be tempting. But just like choosing to take the stairs, you can choose to get a variety of 31 whole fruit and vegetable ingredients. Balance of Nature supplements are formulated from the best ingredients available, and it's as easy as taking 3 fruits and 3 veggies capsules every day. It's a small commitment, but it can help you feel your best. Start your journey with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
There is a place in northern Illinois that people have come from all around the globe seeking treasure.
It's amazing. I didn't know what to expect, but when I got there, I was surrounded by all kinds of gold and silver.
An actual place where you're surrounded by treasure?
I've known that gold and silver were a good investment, but I really didn't want to buy it through the mail. At Fox Valley Coins, I basically walked in, picked out what I wanted, paid cash, and walked out with gold and silver.
Walk in with paper and walk out with actual gold and silver bars. For decades, Fox Valley Coins has traded paper dollars for actual gold and silver. They buy and sell. The treasure map is available at foxvalleycoins.com. They are on Route 59, 1 light north of I-88 in Naperville, Illinois. Again, for info and the map, seek foxvalleycoins.com.
Dan owed an unbelievable amount of money to the IRS.
I got behind on my taxes. It's a horrible feeling.
He was in denial.
And when I got those letters from the IRS, you wanted to act like they didn't exist.
Finally, Dan turned to Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima got me a settlement with the IRS. These people are really people-friendly. It was every bit of a new lease on life for me.
The fast action and the great results made Dan's head spin.
I felt like I was in a dream, but it's real, and I have paperwork to prove it. They got the job done, and life is good.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
If you're worried about what's going to happen with the IRS, stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
If you're experiencing low energy, brain fog, or bloating, then your body might need a detox. Active Liver from New Nordic makes it easy to help your liver to detox your body all year long without major changes to your diet or lifestyle.
540, Team Hotberg Traffic Center time. For our friends in Oak Lawn, just a reminder starting today, 95th eastbound from Harlem Avenue all the way to New England. It's a pretty big area. Shut down due to ongoing road construction. Detours and help with getting around that are already in place. That will be up the entire month of October. We're watching delays on the Bishop Ford accident inbound at King Drive. Dan Ryan, 2 accidents, one inbound at 31st, one into the wall inbound at Canal Port this morning. Already 35 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Traffic, a service of our friends at Waukegan Roofing. For commercial roofing, replace or repair, contact the company that has been replacing and repairing commercial roofs in Chicagoland since 1914 and shares your values. WaukeganRoofing.com. Emergencies welcome. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. A warm day ahead, clouds and sunshine and a high of 78. Currently, partly cloudy and 65. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy talking about Kamala's visit to the border and what that may indicate politically in terms of concern that she has exposure there and that she has more damage control to do than she has done up until Friday when she visited the border and walked around pointing to the border wall and getting photo ops with some border agents. But problem, as we were discussing, is that the numbers keep pouring in, and even more to the point, the stories keep pouring in, and they're catastrophic stories, particularly for families who are victimized by someone in this country illegally. 2 words that we use over and over again. We use them with respect to repeat violent offenders in Chicago that are American citizens, and we use them with respect to people in this country illegally. Preventable crimes. Preventable crimes. There is no defense for the politician, or there shouldn't be, who knowingly refuses to alter course in order to provide for the public's safety. That is the first responsibility of government at every level, and it is beyond clear that the Biden-Harris administration have failed the American people on that score, which is why, to me, people understand the dollars and cents piece of it because they know what they're paying. But in terms of understanding the damage that this administration has done to this country, I'm not sure that there's an issue that more powerfully speaks to it than the invitation for 10 million people to come here illegally and all the destruction and grief and heartache that policy choice has wrought. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line and text line.
How could they knowingly let them in? I mean, how did they find out that, this guy's not an accused murderer, a convicted murderer? Come on in. It's like they didn't care, and they still don't care. They just needed people to start illegally voting. To make sure that our census was fine because they're losing congressional seats in blue states because they're poorly run.
They have to explain their motivations.
Yeah,
I mean, the probable motivations, I think, are much discussed. But you can tell I don't really much care what their motivations are, to the extent that it provides any cover for what they've done. So, I mean, in a debate format, like, I don't know, tomorrow night with the two VP candidates, I'm just telling you what occurred under their watch. I'm just telling you what's happening, and it's well documented. The evidence is irrefutable. You want to explain to the American people what your motivations were, your good intentions, what you're trying to do, go ahead. The floor is yours. That's on you. Yeah, but here's the outcomes. I said the evidence irrefutable, and it is manifest all over the country. And it's not just the most egregious cases of people's lives being taken, and those are the most egregious cases. It's also just communities being taken over. Right up in the Wall Street Journal over the weekend, talking about Whitewater, Wisconsin. Police found a migrant family with a young child living in an uninsulated garden shed in sub-zero temperatures. Officers responding to a fire discovered 2 migrant children sleeping alone on a floor of an apartment while food burned on the stove. A school resource officer discovered that a migrant father was forcing his 14-year-old daughter to work 30 hours a week rather than attending school. It's probably better for her. In the worst incident, a group of teenagers found the body of a dead baby in a box near a trailer park. After an extensive investigation, the migrant mother of the deceased baby was arrested, identified as a citizen of Nicaragua. The proliferation of overcrowded living spaces shared by people who are unrelated has resulted in a spike of domestic and sexual assault claims to Whitewater police. An investigation into the alleged kidnapping of a minor revealed that a migrant had held the girl against her will for 3 days. And on and on. Whitewater, Wisconsin has 24 officers and 13 civilians. And you have just infused, I don't know exactly what the numbers are, but something like 1,000 people from other countries into this town of 14,000 people. It goes on about the strain that's putting on the schools, of course, teachers having to work overtime to overcome language barriers, federal assistance not forthcoming, so forth. I mean, this is Cloward Piven by other means is what's going on here. This is really an invitation to undermine the sovereignty of America and, frankly, its viability as a republic. And if the Trump-Vance campaign can't drive that message home in the last week, well, then that's on them.
I thought they should have had a joint press conference on right when this information came out. But he did have a rally that night, and Trump did, and he did bring it up. And we know Vance is going to bring it up tomorrow. But politicians, Dan, are not going to care until it happens to one of their loved ones, or one of their kids, or somebody they used to babysit or coach or something.
Well, Trump did bring it up, and he brought up the perhaps the most damaging statistic outside of actual lives taken is the lives that we don't know what their status is.
The worst statistic of them all, 325,000 children. Think of that. 3.5 years. She lost 325,000 children. And they're either dead, being sold into sex slavery, or just plain missing. Think of the number, 325,000. If that were a Republican instead of her, and she was the border czar, she says, well, I wasn't the border czar. She was.
Mark and Rochelle.
Oh, yeah, you stole my thunder a little bit, but taking into account all the crimes and convictions of all these immigrants, how much of a stretch is it that they would commit other crimes on top of all this, including, election fraud, but whatever?
Well,
election fraud's nothing.
Yeah, thanks for the call. Well, I mean,
you want me to sign up and put? Yeah, I'll do that.
Well, you've seen some of we played on Friday from the Oversight Project. Basically citizen journalists interviewing some migrants in Arizona, saying they're here illegally, they're registered to vote, they're voting for Kamala. So I mean, there's no question this is a serious issue, and it's a serious system vulnerability, as are other vulnerabilities within the system when it comes to managing free and fair elections when it comes to proper ballot integrity. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That there's so many offshoots that spring from this lawlessness at the border, the open border policy. I mean, it creates so many problems in addition to public safety. That's first and foremost, but of course there are other problems.
Well, and how many times have you all heard from your lefty friends saying, "Oh, that's fake news. If they're here illegally, they're not going to be able to vote." That's bull jive. I mean, look what happened on Friday. The Biden-Harris DOJ, they sued to keep illegals on voter rolls in Alabama. I mean, this is just the beginning.
Keith in Winfield.
Yeah, hi, Dan and Amy. So, criminal activity is terrible and dangerous and everything, but what about the military-aged enemies that are here in the United States and the mass terror that they could cause? That's the bigger concern to me.
Well, thanks for the call, Keith. I mean, it is a concern. I mean, and frankly, that's not Keith from Winfield or me saying it. It's not even some right-wing talking head saying it. That was FBI Director Christopher Wray. He has warned repeatedly about the open border being an invitation for terrorist organizations to send emissaries to do harm to this country. And think about an open border policy against the backdrop of Israel taking out Hassan Nasrallah over the weekend and much of the senior leadership of Hezbollah with American-made bombs. You think that the Iranians and their vast terrorist network wouldn't have an interest in sending some assassins, some Islamo-fascist terrorists here to do Americans harm? I mean, we're inviting all of these problems. That's the thing that's the most infuriating and exasperating. And I don't think there's enough appreciation for it. I don't think this is central enough, even though this issue has risen in the issue matrix, maybe right below the economy. But I almost think in the last 30 days with what we're seeing and with the exposures we have, all of these various aspects of this, sort of that fall under the umbrella of border security or immigration need to be front and center. I mean, this almost needs to be the referendum question. You either support Trump's border security plan or you're for open borders and the end of this country. Harry in Holly, Michigan.
Hi, good morning. With CTU not having to close any schools under attended schools, why doesn't Whitewater send them down here? Because clearly they need more students if they're not going to close these schools till 2026, 27, right?
Yeah, right. Thanks for the call, Harry. Marty, Naperville.
Good morning, guys. Great show again. Dan, you could beat this dead horse if you will all you want, but the deranged Trump syndrome in this country is so rampant. They don't care. My wife's family, 20 of them don't give a crap about nothing except not voting for Trump because they don't like him. And unfortunately, man, that's just, people are they're willing to give up the future. They're willing to give up their grandkids' futures, everything, because they don't like Trump. And that's a sad thing, man. So,
yeah, as I said before, if your hatred for one man goes above your love for country, then they are the problem. But there's no convincing them. It's just, I mean.
Maybe we can convince them with a ditty rather than the data.
Okay.
This from the Liz variant, at least that's who posted it, so that's who I'm giving credit to. This is making the rounds now. You can add this to Kifness's, they're eating the pets. And also, on the other side, let's give the other side some credit too. The little sort of Joan Baez knockoff folksy song, like a tree by the water, which we'll bring you later too. But Border Czar, parody of the great OMC, not really great, but the OMC song, So Bizarre.
From the wackos on the left to the MAGAs on the right, they know I'm beating Kamala. This race won't even be tied. Her policies are nutso. She's out her goddamn mind. She just repeats the same thing, regurgitating her lines. She thinks that immigration immigration without paperwork is good. Clearly not too much power underneath Kamala's hood. Borders are, it's what you are. Borders are, borders are. Cackling Kamala,
Pretty good.
dumb. Mass inflation imminent if she weasels herself in. If that don't sound like fun to you, then you better help me win. I promise I'll secure you, you'll be in better hands. It'd be a flippin' free-for-all with what Kamala plans. Borders are, it's what you are. Borders are, borders are. Laugh it up, Kamala. This lady, she's cackling crazy.
Pretty good.
Really good.
Pretty good lyrics, and nice Weird Al use of the so bizarre bed. Yeah, I like it.
That's what it is. We're in clown world right now.
Marvin, Burlington, Wisconsin.
Yeah, I just the immigration thing. I mean, we couldn't even get ourselves squared away after 9/11, when we had legally immigrant visitors here do what they did, murdering all these people. And we had a Republican in office, and he couldn't bring himself, when he had the political capital, to shut the border and find out who the hell was here to begin with. We couldn't do it then. We're not going to do it now. The Republicans are too greedy because it's cheap labor, and the Democrats see it as a way to get the whitey out of there, so they can run things away and they want and give everything away. So I don't see anything happening at all.
Thanks for the call, Marvin. I disagree. I think you're reaching a critical juncture that provides, and this is important too, because I'm not saying that's out of sense of, there's this great cadre of principal leaders just in the just off stage that are ready to appear. And no, I'm not. What I'm saying is that with Trump in and his commitment and his track record of doing, or at least attempting to do, the things he said he would, which I believe he will, particularly on this issue, that you're reaching the juncture now where there is political cover for many weak-spined Republicans to do what they are maybe not otherwise inclined to do because they have to do for their political interests. This is not something that can be ignored any longer, or you can paper over it, as Jim Lankford found out, with some bull jive two-step, DC 1986 redux natural pathway to citizenship plan. What happened to Lankford and Senate Republicans is instructive to Republicans. They can't get away with doing 1986 all over again, which is the moral imperative to elect Donald Trump. George in Naperville.
Yeah, maybe the medieval vetting, knowing is illegal, isn't working. Bring your tired and hungry hordes.
Thanks for the call, George. Kevin, Austin, Texas.
I disagree with the caller before that. Personnel is policy, and I think Trump has learned as far as who's going to put in key positions over the 3,000 people that are going in. There's a great interview with RFK Jr. with Peterson, and he talked about how Trump has learned his lesson from that. Anyhow, what I wanted to talk about earlier or before that was Soldier Field holds 62,500 people. So of the 425,000 convicted people, you can fill Soldier Field 6.8 times. And then if you look at Wrigley Field now holds a capacity of 41,649.
Well, he's doing the numbers.
Yeah,
he's doing the work.
We've seen this ad from Jim Oberweis that doesn't work. That's not the play, Kevin. Thanks for the call. The play is to tell stories. To let people tell their stories. Let people tell their stories. Just show. There's so many out there. Funnel your resources to amplify the stories of ordinary Americans who have willingly already come forward to tell them in their communities.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
Oh, I love it. I'm 83 years old, and it has helped me.
Everything was okay. I feel better. I just turned 90, so I'm doing real good.
I'm doing great.
You know, some guys tell me, oh, that's psychological, man. I said, let me tell you something. I don't care what it is. It's working.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Elon Musk weighs in on the existential importance of this election at 6:06.
And sadly, another Brandon Bodies will explain. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
1 killed and 1 wounded in a Normal, Illinois shooting, while a 2-year-old was shot and wounded on Chicago's southwest side. WIND Chicago News Time.
It's up to at least 99 deaths from Helene. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Some of the victims far away from where the hurricane first hit, Florida.
It's been an incredibly apocalyptic weekend for all of us here in Asheville, North Carolina.
That city had historic flooding.
Power is still sketchy in many areas. Cell phone service is zero in some spots. And food, water, and gasoline is a major issue.
Fox Weather's Robert Ray in Asheville reports roads in the areas were washed out.
Trump is
and that led to some of these areas being inaccessible. Hundreds of people still unaccounted for. Some areas got more than 2 feet of rain, so there's flooding and storm damage from Florida to Tennessee to the Carolinas. Now to Fox's Madeline Rivera. As FEMA's delivering federal aid, President Biden plans to go to the storm-ravaged areas soon. Vice President Harris and former President Trump also focusing on Helene.
Trump is expected to deliver remarks and give out relief supplies in Georgia. Meantime, Harris is cutting her trip in Nevada short, heading to D.C. this morning to get federal briefings on Helene. She says she, too, wants to visit the affected areas as soon as possible.
Those two have also focused on record illegal immigration.
We must have comprehensive immigration reform.
That's the vice president last night in Las Vegas.
With strong border security and an earned pathway to citizenship.
She keeps talking about how she supposedly wants to fix the border. We would merely ask, why didn't she do it 4 years ago?
Former President Trump said in Pennsylvania that Vice President Harris should be impeached and prosecuted, calling her mentally impaired. Now, tomorrow, their running mates clash, J.D. Vance versus Tim Walz in the only vice presidential debate. And days after Israel killed Hezbollah's leader in Lebanon, another airstrike has taken out a Hamas leader and other Palestinian militants. America's listening to Fox News.
64 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A woman shot late Sunday evening on the city's near south side. It happened in the 100 block of West Cermak in Chinatown, the scene of that shooting close to a CTA Red Line station. Bears bounce back with a 24-18 win over the Rams at Soldier Field. Caleb Williams, 17 of 23 for 157 yards.
Our work throughout this past week was different than our other weeks before, and I think that that goes to our leadership. That goes to our communication, what I've talked about multiple times. I think the growth is there. I think the leadership and the vets that we have around.
DeAndre Swift led the team in rushing, 93 yards on 16 carries, but he was good through the air too. 7 grabs, 72 yards. One person died after being shot on Sunday near Illinois State University. Shooting happened Sunday morning as Normal police were dispersing a large pop-up party. Both of the injured, according to Normal police, were not university students. Again, one later died at a nearby hospital. Right now, the school is not blaming homecoming activities for the violence. A Chicago man is accused of sex trafficking a 16-year-old who had been reported missing in central Illinois. The FBI contacted Cook County sheriffs after images of that victim were found on different websites. The teen was reported missing by authorities in Woodford County near Peoria. An investigator posing as a sex buyer arranged a meeting with the victim in Cicero. When the victim arrived, officers recovered the teen safely and then took a man, Tervon Moore, into custody. Embattled Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard has new trouble this morning. She's facing possible eviction from her home. Court documents filed in Cook County show Henyard and her boyfriend were notified earlier this month they were past due on their rent and were given notice to vacate. Cubs had 3 hits and a 3-0, 10-inning loss to the Reds at Wrigley to close the season, while the White Sox beat the Tigers 9-5 at Comerica Park to close their season with a 41 and 121 record. The news, a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP, you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Learn more and check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Your home is a valuable asset, and you want to take care of your home. From roofs, siding, windows, and doors to furnaces, flooring, landscaping, and much more. Listen to your go-to for all things home. It's Home Answers Radio every Sunday morning at 9. Presented by Lang Home Medical Equipment, Executive Green Carpet Cleaning, and by Valdecast Windows and Doors. Get answers from industry experts so you can make informed decisions about your home improvement. Right here on AM 560, The Answer.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Hey guys, Donald Trump Jr. here. Let me ask you this. Does inflation feel worse than what we're being told in the news? That's because the official inflation rate doesn't tell the whole story. Since January 2021, the cost of living has increased by 17.9%. You can't get that money back, but what you can do is stop your losses today. How? By diversifying your savings into a gold IRA from my friends at Birch Gold Group. When you're done, your money will be parked in a tangible asset with a proven history. To see how it works, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word PROTECT to 989898. I trust Birch Gold. They provide an easy process to roll over your 401k or IRA into gold without losing your tax-advantaged status. So text PROTECT to 989898. That's PROTECT to the number 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRAs from Birch Gold.
Message and data rates may apply.
I'm worried about Mom. She's having a tough time moving around the house.
Oh, I know. She still thinks she can do everything on her own.
Exactly, but I've been over there every day this week, helping her navigate the stairs, cooking meals, reminding her to take her medicine. I'm always nervous when I leave.
You know what? I admire you for taking care of Mom. But your family needs you too. And what if she slips and falls? A friend recommended the caregivers at Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. They service Cook, DuPage, Kane, and Will counties. They guarantee compatibility and they'll conduct a free safety assessment of her home. Plus, they'll provide as little or as much care as Mom needs.
Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest, offering both hourly and live-in care. Schedule a free assessment today by calling 331-281-0728. That's 331-281-0728. Again, that's 331-281-0728. And tell them AM 560 sent you. Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Senior care, only better.
6:08. Let's get a check on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Just a couple of notes. Chicago Marathon setup starting this morning in and around Grant Park. That will take place all the way through the event on October 13. I-80. Right lanes blocked early this morning with pothole patching. It's westbound right near Oak Park Avenue. Accident on the Adams. Right shoulder right now, according to what we see northbound just after the Illinois-Wisconsin state line. That's up in Winnebago County. It's a long way away, but if you're heading that way, could be there for a while, according to reports on the scene. Bishop Ford inbound. You're jammed up 111th into King Drive. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
Warm day today, intervals of clouds and sun. A high today pushing 78. Partly cloudy, mild tonight, low 63. Partly sunny, windy, less humidity tomorrow, the high 70. Sunshine, a very nice day on Wednesday. High Wednesday afternoon, 73. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
We're locked in on 65 at O'Hare, 61 and clear in Aurora, 61 in Lansing, 66 along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update, 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Elon Musk chiming in over the weekend on his platform. Very few Americans realize that if Trump is not elected, this will be the last election. Far from being a threat to democracy, he is the only way to save it. Let me explain. If even 1 in 20 illegals become citizens per year, something that Democrats are expediting as fast as humanly possible, that would be about 2 million new legal voters in 4 years. The voting margin in swing states is often less than 20,000 votes. That means if the Democratic Party succeeds, there will be no more swing states. Moreover, the Biden-Harris administration has been flying asylum seekers, quote unquote, who are fast-tracked to citizenship directly into swing states like Pennsylvania, Ohio, Wisconsin, and Arizona. It's a surefire way to win every election. America then becomes a one-party state and democracy is over. The only quote-unquote elections will be the Democratic Party primaries. This already happened in California many years ago following the 1986 amnesty legislation. The only thing holding California back from extreme socialism and suffocating government policies is that people can leave California and still remain in America. Once the whole country is controlled by one party, there will be no escape. Everywhere in America will be like the nightmare that is downtown San Francisco. It's a fairly dystopian picture that Elon Musk paints if Trump isn't elected. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line 6463. No, still the same number. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line and text line. You concur with Elon Musk. I mean, the back of the envelope math is certainly plausible, but I think there are more variables to take into account than he does in terms of something that I don't really want to contemplate, a Kamala victory occurring, and that necessarily being the end of the republic. That's number one. I don't think it's a straight line. Number two, I don't know that has very much appeal to the sort of voters who will be determinative in these battleground states. I just don't think people, generally speaking, actually, and particularly those that are mildly engaged in thought, I don't think that they connect dots very well. I don't think they think about sort of global down-the-road implications. And it goes both ways. I mean, you can make the argument both ways. I'm sure it frustrates the left, too, that not enough people believe that the planet is going to end in 2030.
Right. That's infuriating for them.
But the problem is, they don't have evidentiary support. I mean, it's just all...
They don't need it. They have their mouths.
Well, it's all just supposed to be taken on faith. And, you can get some, but you don't necessarily get to critical mass because at the core, most people are pragmatic. But we're talking about a small subset of the American electorate that will likely decide this election in those battleground states. And as I said, these are people that are very tepidly engaged in politics, political thought, the thoughts around living in a free society and what is required and what the real threats to living in a free society are. So this sort of appeal and the left does it too, with Trump dictator, Trump end of America. The sort of appeal that Elon Musk is making sort of strikes me in the same way, that there's certainly merit to the case that he's making as to the mind's eye of the left. But I just don't know that that is going to compel anybody who already isn't committed. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line.
All I know is that I'm getting very nervous at the possibility of a Kamala, Tim Walz presidency. And I do believe, I mean, they are trying right now, even in, Utah, they're trying to change Utah blue. They're doing the work. I mean, if you see what's going on, like one time I was on a plane and a group of Antifa people were on the flight from Phoenix to St. George. And I thought, oh, no, please, dear God, please leave us alone. I can't go on. I don't want to live in a blue state anymore. And that is their fear. But I think that while we're sleeping, they're plotting against us. And they're moving people. They're convincing people, like that in the tech industry, move to Salt Lake City, after you graduate from college, because we've brainwashed you for 4 years now, and we can change states. They're not going to not try. They're trying to change Texas purple. They're trying to change Arizona. They're not going to stop.
Well,
so I think Elon Musk is right in a way.
Mark Cuban is an interesting case study in terms of what's happened over the last decade. As the institutions that are controlled by the new Bolsheviks have pressed their foot down on the pedal, the collective pedal. Let me give you an example of, I think he serves as an example of what's happened to institutional elites sort of across the board and, the threat they pose. John Kerry's another example. To Elon Musk's point, but I think you have to drill it down to be more directly tethered to people's interests, the ordinary American family's interests. But the illustration is important. Mark Cuban in 2015 on a podcast talking about Trump. 2015, when it was Trump versus Hillary, and actually even pre-primary Trump versus Hillary or Bernie at that point. Here's what Cuban said about Trump.
So one would call you a Democrat.
No, hell no. Look, there's different things for different reasons, right?
Would you be comfortable with a capitalist like Donald Trump being our president?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I like Donald, and he's smart. Like a lot of candidates and politicians, you vote for not what they say, but knowing that 99% of they say won't come true, what they'll do once they get it.
See who's going to follow through.
And do I think he's smart enough to figure that out and then just do the right thing after he's elected? Yes.
And here's what he's saying today, like last week on CNBC in an interview talking about Kamala and what we were just talking about for the last hour, which is border security.
But I don't think you can have an open southern border.
No, I agree. And she agrees, too. She said the exact same thing.
She had a chance.
Yeah, but, Joe, there's a lot of COOs that when the CEO leaves for whatever reason, come in, take over, and have completely different policies and approaches. Right? That's just the way it works. When you're second in command, you do what your boss tells you to do. He delegates authority to you.
But the border was supposed to be her.
Yeah, but it's still the same thing. It's his policies. What he said to her was, you go down and you use diplomacy to try to improve, to try to reduce the flow, the migration of people across the border, right? And when they finally came around, and it took too long, I agree, but when they finally got there, now look at the results. It didn't take a wall, but yet the crossing numbers are where Trump's were when pre-pandemic, at the same number. So it worked. So what she did actually worked, right?
How the mighty have changed.
The CNBC folks, I think that was pre the issuance of that report to Representative Gonzalez that documented the number of people convicted of crimes that ICE is allegedly watching. I don't know how they have eyes on 425,000 convicted criminals in this country. I don't think they do, but they certainly have an inventory list, which is, I guess, somewhere to start. Certainly somewhere to start with deportation, so that's the good news.
And I'm sure some of them, they flew here too, don't you think?
The CBP One app, which, again, people don't believe is a thing. Some people don't, but it is a thing. You see pictures of illegal immigrants holding up their phones with a screenshot of the app. You can go online and download the app yourself if you don't want to believe that exists. But
here's your QR code.
But this is part of the suspension of disbelief that's required to fall in line here, and also too this argument, and this may be offered up by Field Marshal Tim tomorrow's debate. That Kamala is just the vice president. These weren't her policies. And then when she was given free rein to do what she could do with the powers that were extended to her, oh, look, it produced such wonderful results. Again, Mark Cuban having to suspend disbelief because Mark Cuban has been folded into the state. These billionaire power centers are essentially little quasi institutions in this country, and they get folded into the state just like your local library does, just like your daily newspaper does. And that's what happens when societies trend towards totalitarianism. And I know that's a big statement, and I know that's a sort of grandiose philosophical thought, and I just got done saying that I don't know that that has much appeal to people, but trying to provide some explanatory background to get to some way to synthesize it in a way that does appeal to people. But just on the Kamala, I mean, this is a simple argument to dismiss, so let's do it quickly. Kamala was just the vice president. The vice president doesn't make policy. Right, but what happens when the president makes policies that the vice president fully supports and supported for decades before she became the vice president? We give you the Border 911 Inc. ad on Kamala. Kamala, in her own words, dating back to the time that she was the DA in San Francisco, forward.
I know the importance of safety and security, especially at our border.
Who really is Kamala Harris? She's been telling us her entire career.
I support our sanctuary law.
The illegal immigrant deported multiple times who stands accused of killing Kate Steinle.
An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal.
Everyone also have the courage to reject that term illegal alien.
Are you aware that there's a perception?
Do you know?
Are you aware that there's a perception?
That puts ICE in the same category as the KKK. Is that what you're asking me?
Abolish ICE. Yeah. Is that a position that you agree with?
And we need to probably think about starting from scratch. We're not going to treat people who are undocumented across the border as criminals. I am opposed to any policy that would deny any human being public health, period.
Will you be committing to close immigration detention centers?
Absolutely, on day one.
So when she was on her own before she teamed up with Biden, ICE is the KKK. Abolishing ICE is something we have to talk about. Absolutely for closing immigrant detention centers. Well, that's how you have 425,000 criminals wandering the streets right now. Let's not use the term illegal alien. Decriminalization of illegal border crossings. This is all Kamala pre-Biden, Mark Cuban.
And Mark Cuban, did he not see Joe Biden on The View? I mean, he said everything they do together.
And as vice president, there wasn't a single thing that I did that she couldn't do. Mm-hmm. And so I was able to delegate her responsibility on everything from foreign policy to domestic policy.
But see, the left, the sentimental barbarians on the left have co-opted so many on the center right because you want to be nice and you want to live up to one of those yard signs about love is love and kindness is everything and no one can be illegal and sort of all these airy, foundationless thoughts. And so the soft-headed are moved. And again, you saw this recently, clip making the rounds with John Y. the Long Face Kerry speaking at World Economic Forum.
Why is he back in the news? I guess he's never left.
Speaking of czars, I mean, borders are, green energy czar. Kerry talking about the First Amendment. What a stumbling block it is for democracies like ours. You know, the unfettered, I mean, the question, I mean, this is really interesting. The question that is asked by one of these ghouls from the World Economic Forum, sort of mid explanation from John Kerry as to why the First Amendment needs to be rethought is, can democracy survive unfettered social media? It's the same thing as saying, can democracy survive with free speech rights? And the answer from John Kerry, as representative of the institutional powers that be, is no.
And I think the dislike of and anguish over social media is just growing and growing and growing. And it's part of our problem, particularly in democracies, in terms of building consensus around any issue. It's really hard to govern today. You can't, there's no, the referees we used to have to determine what's a fact and what isn't a fact are kind of, been eviscerated to a certain degree. And people go, and that people self-select where they go for their news or for their information. And then you just get into a vicious cycle. So it's really, really hard, much harder to build consensus today than at any time in the 45, 50 years I've been involved in this. And there's a lot of discussion now about how you curb those entities in order to guarantee that you're going to have, some accountability on facts, et cetera. But look, if people go to only one source and the source they go to is sick and, has an agenda and they're putting out disinformation, our First Amendment stands as a major block to the ability to be able to just, hammer it out of existence. So what we need is to win the ground, win the right to govern by hopefully having, winning enough votes that you're free to be able to implement change. Now, obviously, there are some people in our country who are prepared to implement change in other ways, and
so
that's
you're
really
questioning
dangerous.
really if democracy can survive unregulated social media.
I think democracies are very challenged right now, and have not proven they can move fast enough or big enough to deal with the challenges that we are facing. And to me, that is part of what this race, this election is all about. Will we break the fever in the United States?
Break the fever of free speech in the United States. And so, again, I mean, this sort of speaks to what Musk is talking about. He's talking specifically about immigration, but it's so much bigger than that. And John Kerry just told you how much bigger it is. It's the whole of government approach is government over the whole thing. And this may be, it's maybe part of it. I still think it's sort of a referendum on practical issues, but just in terms of conversation. Listen to John Kerry, and it is an overused term, but it is totally Orwellian. It's overused, but it's not inaccurate. They're going to protect our free speech rights through censorship. They're going to protect our right to a free press by requiring government approval of outlets to make sure they're not spreading disinformation. And just as all of these other examples of contradictions in terms where they're protecting our freedom while they're constricting it, while they're protecting equal justice under the law by upending it. I know there's a lot of people that don't devote a lot of thinking to this, not who listen to this show, but in the general populace. But it can't just be Trump and Van. You got to press them on these things. They couldn't be more fundamental, could they? And just a simple observation. Per John Kerry, you used to have these gatekeepers. Now you don't have them. Right. And let me tell you something, Senator, Czar. The reason that a Twitter handle like Cat Turd has more readers than the Washington Post is an indictment of the Washington Post.
I love Cat Turd.
Chris on 65.
Yeah, hi, good morning. Yeah, it really is ghoulish. I just wanted to talk about, the influencers like Mark Cuban. There's a guy that I used to enjoy on his show, and he's smart enough to ignore the facts when he's talking about border crossings because he's completely dismissing, and he knows the numbers of the illegal flyovers that are taking in when they're importing these illegal aliens. So, he's aware of those numbers and he's doing it purposely. And it's interesting because I used to like his show and I used to like him on the show and hated that Kevin O'Leary. And now I like Kevin O'Leary.
Me too.
Yeah, right.
That's so funny.
Thanks for the call, Chris.
I feel the same way.
Well, here again, just remember, the worst thing that could happen to Mark Cuban is he could be cut out.
Yeah, you're right.
So everybody folds. I mean, it folds in the state. He doesn't want. It's not because he wants some job in the cabinet. They're folding into the culture where the state is the center. And if you're not acting in service of the state, well, then you are going to fall out of favor with all the other institutions that are, like the D.C. Press Corps, like Hollywood. And those do matter to Cuban, don't they? Like Wall Street. And those do matter to Cuban, don't they? Think about it as the government as the nucleus of society, because that's how they're thinking about it. And that's why you see the 180s from people like Cuban. Even to some extent, people like Elon Musk. He didn't see what was coming for a long time. And more recently he has. And at least he's now using his platform to prompt some thinking and discussion and allow for thinking and discussion to occur on a platform that's as popular as X is. Greg Schomburg.
Morning, Dan and Amy. This whole segment started out with Elon Musk contention that the people aren't playing by the rules. The Democrats don't play by the rules, and they're stacking the deck with population to ensure their forever rule. I think there's a lot of merit to that because look at what has happened just on the whole Comer Commission and Trey Gowdy going back before that. They do have the majority in so many areas, particularly the judiciary. So what we end up being is just committee after committee that goes nowhere, that eventually gets in front of Democratic judges, as evidenced by the whole Trump scenario with cases. The only one that got thrown out was the one that was a Trump-appointed judge. And that's the way I see pretty much the future and what the Democrats have stacked up.
Thanks, Greg. Paul and Carrie.
Good morning. Just to reiterate what you guys have been hitting on all morning, it's just striking how, I don't know, it's reached terminal velocity, finally reached terminal velocity. It took all this time where they have their hand in the pot, the schools, our children, the professors, the illegals, the teachers, the unions, that now everybody's become, a majority's become beholden to the Democratic Party, and they got to get theirs, and hell or high water, they're going to vote Democratic no matter what happens. It's just, I don't know, I'll posit this as a question. It just seems, isn't it evident that the Democratic Party is always shucking and jiving? It's just nonstop shucking and jiving to reach their objective. It just never ends. And even some within their own party would have to admit this.
Thanks for
it's just bewildering. It's the gots that gets minds, people. I don't know. It's just
right. Cut it out or cut me in. Thanks for the call, Paul. Coming up at 6:36. We'll take a little bit of a lighter turn, just as a cleansing breath. Why everyone wants to go to college in the South, places like where Peyton is, Georgia Tech.
Mm-hmm. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
6:32 on AM 560. The Answer. President Biden will visit hard-hit areas that were drenched by Hurricane Helene, where death tolls are rising and flooding is at disaster levels. Former President Donald Trump says the southern border was much more secure under his presidency than under the Biden administration. Rallying in Pennsylvania Sunday, Trump claimed thousands of terrorists have come into the country since Joe Biden became president. Vice presidential debate on tap. Democrat Tim Walz, Republican J.D. Vance. Tuesday night at 8 p.m. here in Chicago. Like the presidential debate 2 weeks ago, no audience in attendance. Unlike the presidential debate, both candidates' microphones will remain on throughout the debate. 2 astronauts stranded on the International Space Station finally have a ride home. A NASA astronaut and his Russian cosmonaut colleague now on board the International Space Station after a successful SpaceX launch from Cape Canaveral Saturday. Now everyone is expected to return to Earth on Saturday if schedules hold. A woman was shot Sunday evening on the city's near south side. The shooting happened around 7:45 in the 100 block of West Cermak. In the Chinatown neighborhood, the scene of the shooting is close to a CTA Red Line station. Bears bounce back with a 24-18 win over the Rams at Soldier Field. DeAndre Swift, 93 yards on 16 carries on the ground, 7 catches, 72 yards in the air for Coach Matt Eberflus.
We honored the football. You know, the football was where we were 2, got 2. We ended up not getting the other one. He called out of bounds, but we ended up getting 2 and then, not giving it away. So when you win that battle, +2 in the turnover margin, you got a good chance for success.
Bears host the Panthers later on this Sunday. Embattled Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard faces possible eviction from her home. Court documents filed in Cook County show Henyard and her boyfriend were notified earlier this month. They were past due on their rent, given a notice to vacate. A court date is set for October 22nd. Chicago sports. Baseball season closed for the Cubs. 3 hits and a 3-0 loss to the Reds at Wrigley Field. Cubs finished the season at 83-79. Worst team in modern Major League Baseball history ended its season with a win. White Sox beat the playoff-bound Tigers 9-5 at Comerica Park. Blackhawks gave up a 2-goal lead in a 3-2 overtime preseason loss to St. Louis. The news, a service of ExpressPros.com. If your supply chain demands a flexible workforce, hire with Express Employment Professionals. With contract and full-time workers from Express, you get the staff you need and manage contingent labor costs. Learn more at ExpressPros.com. 6:36 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The 2 things that hit every family's budget the hardest are the price of gas and the price of groceries. And for the past few years, we've all been feeling that pain. That's why AM 560 wants to help fill your gas tank and your pantry. It's our gas and groceries giveaway contest. You could win up to $10,000 in gift cards for gas and groceries. Enter today at 560theanswer.com/contest. That's 560theanswer.com/contest.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm a 70-year-old man. I'm not a young guy, and I'm an ex-athlete. Well, yeah, when I was taking it, I recognized that I was feeling better. You know what I'm saying? And just mentally knowing is important also.
I am a customer of you guys. I love your product. Love it, love it. Nothing but good things to say about your product. I love it. And as long as y'all are going to sell it, I'm going to take it as long as I can.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code Chicago.
There is no foundation like the rock of honesty and fairness. And when you begin to build your life on that rock, with the cement of the faith in God that you have, then you have a real start. Those who would trade our freedom for the soup kitchen of the welfare state have told us they have a utopian solution of peace without victory. They call their policy accommodation. And they say if we'll only avoid any direct confrontation with the enemy, he'll forget his evil ways and learn to love us. All who oppose them are indicted as warmongers. They say we offer simple answers to complex problems. Well, perhaps there is a simple answer. Not an easy answer, but simple. If you and I have the courage to tell our elected officials that we want our national policy based on what we know in our hearts is morally right.
This moment in American history has been brought to you by Earthworks. Learn more at earthworksinc.com.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out heart-stopping letters, aggressively garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it seem impossible to ever get out of debt. Don't let the tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, the #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks that the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands. Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, they'll fight to get you the best deal possible. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Is thinning hair or a receding hairline making you self-conscious? Try Hair Grow from New Nordic. Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start feeling your best with Hair Grow.
640. Let's get an update on the roads quickly in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. And this update is service of almostfreeteeth.com. What if you could save, on average, 90% for dental implants? Get 100% of that smile back with a Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP. It's possible. Check if you qualify, almostfreeteeth.com. Outbound Kennedy, accident right-hand shoulder, outbound near Bryn Mawr. I-55, Will County, accident with a left lane block. It's southbound near Weber Road. And delays in Libertyville this morning. Winchester Road closed in both directions, and Peterson Road closed east and westbound as well, all due to a stalled train in the area. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Warm day ahead, clouds and sun, high 78. Partly cloudy and mild, low 63. Partly sunny, windy, less humid tomorrow, high near 70. Partly cloudy and 65 right now. Next news at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Cause they got the beat, the campus beat, the campus beat. Yeah, the campus beat.
Yeah, Dan and Amy, this installment of Campus Beat. Sorry, Harvard. Everyone wants to go to college in the South now. Wall Street Journal sort of memorializing what I've been feeling anecdotally for a while now, just talking to friends whose kids are in college or preparing to go to college and where they're going. I mean, of course, around here, there's still a lot of, Champaign, Madison, right?
Northwest.
Bloomington, in, Big Ten schools. There's still some of that. But you just feel it, the increased incidence of hearing about SEC schools and ACC schools in terms of where kids are going from the Midwest, and it turns out to be real. The story goes like this. Students say they're searching for fun and school spirit emanating from the South on their social media feeds. The parents cite lower tuition and less debt, warmer weather. College counselors also say many teens are eager to trade the political polarization ripping apart campuses in New England and New York for the sense of community epitomized by the South's football Sundays. Promising job prospects after graduation can sweeten the pot. The number of Northerners going to Southern public schools went up 84% over the past 2 decades and 30% just during the pandemic. From 2018 to 2022, 30% spike in Northerners going to Southern public government, public schools, state schools. For example, University of Tennessee in Knoxville. Mm-hmm. Freshmen from the Northeast jumped nearly 600 in a class of 6,800, up from 50 just 2 decades ago. From 50 from the Northeast to 600 in a class of 6,800. University of Mississippi in Oxford, they increased from 11 to more than 200 in a class of about 4,500. University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa, 11% of the students came from the Northeast in 2022, compared with less than 1% 2 decades prior. So the migration away from the Northeast and the Midwest to warmer confines in the Southeast and the Southwest, but particularly the Southeast, it's real for the adults, and it's real for the college-bound kids, too. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line.
Yeah, we were looking at Southern schools, LSU, Ole Miss, Tennessee, but Georgia Tech, come on, it's Georgia Tech. It's the best, one of the top engineering schools in the country.
It's not even the top engineering school in the state of Georgia.
It's not?
Emory.
Emory's better than Georgia Tech in engineering?
Well... Anyway,
yeah,
Georgia Tech's a good
I'm
school.
just saying it's a good school.
Well,
and it's fun, and the warmer weather, and you feel free. Like there's such a positive, great vibe when you're on that campus. Unlike something I feel when I go to U of I, it's kind of tepid. It's just might be there, but it's just a huge difference. I don't know how to describe it. And then it's cheaper.
Where are your kids going, or where are they currently matriculating? If you have college-bound kids or kids in college, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Here's a key point, too. It's something that I've been talking about since I ran for governor, but nobody really pays attention. Anyway, Illinois for a long time has been second only to New Jersey in the out-migration of its college-bound seniors. And that turns out to be a huge brain drain. I mean, people should sort of intuitively understand that, but in Illinois, at least in Chicagoland, there's not very many things that people do intuitively understand. So let me lay it out. North Carolina study, and this folds into this conversation about migration from the Midwest and the Northeast to the Southeast when it comes to colleges, South and Southeast. About 2/3 of college graduates go to work in the same state where they graduate. This is according to a study by University of North Carolina academics. The transplants are well-educated, motivated young workers at the least expensive points in their careers. And as you say, these states in the Southeast are growing, and it sort of becomes a multiplier, right? When you have you're growing, and then you're attracting the 1/3 of kids that are going to go to college, and so you're getting some of the best and brightest from other states. Well, that improves the labor pool, which encourages more growth, and so on and so forth. They're complementary. And in the other way, they expedite the death spiral in states like Illinois and New York and California, but particularly Illinois and New York. So it's a real thing. It's a real thing for the young people going to college. It's a real thing for the communities and the state in which you live. It has real impact, and you start to see it. Takes a while, but you start to see it over a generation or two. And that's what's happening in Illinois right now as compared to what's happening in, say, Georgia or Florida or even Alabama and Mississippi and South Carolina, both Carolinas, frankly.
Text messages. Dan and Amy, 2 of my kids are in Texas. One is at U of Illinois. The 2 in Texas are there because the job outlook after college is much better.
Indeed.
And then another text message. Students seeking a more conservative political atmosphere, to wit. Trump's reception this weekend at the football game is an example of that. He was at the Alabama-Georgia game.
Mm-hmm. So by contrast, like University of Rhode Island paid a porn star $3,500 to fly from Vegas to speak to a class about gender and sex tips in a class where they watch porn. Of course, we had the famous sex saw class at Northwestern.
Oh, that's
so,
right.
maybe you're tired of paying 60, 70, 80 grand to underwrite porn stars travel and lodging to the school where your kid's going. Maybe
that's just do a Zoom call. I mean,
maybe
so
that's
popular in 2020.
Not exactly what you had in mind in terms of higher learning. Maybe to the point of this journal piece, maybe you're sick of sending your kids to places like Yale where they present false equivalences between what's happening to Jewish students on that campus and what's happening to, for example, Muslim students or pro-Hamas students on campus. So to commemorate Hamas's October 7th massacre, The chaplain's office at Yale is going to hold a silent vigil to remember and mourn all Israeli and Palestinian lives lost in chatter over the past year. And that's fine to remember lives lost across the board, generally speaking. But all of the initiatives, as is well documented in this op-ed by a couple of Yale undergrads, including one we spoke with last year or earlier this year, it's all about making it morally equivalent. No, one side is not right or wrong. One side is not suffering more or the other. And when in point of fact, I mean, the incidence of anti-Semitism on college campuses is well documented. The incidence of Islamophobic events is much less well documented because it's much less frequent. And October 7th was a terrorist attack by a terrorist organization on a bunch of people at a music festival. So there's no real moral conundrum there about who was in the right and who was not. And to try to couch it in this larger contextual bull jive about the apartheid state and all the poisonous rhetoric you hear from the Ilhan Omars and Rashida Tlaibs, well, that's the same approach that you get at places like Yale. And maybe some people don't want to pay for that either. I can understand that. John in Woodstock.
Yeah, guys, I've got 3 kids in college right now. My oldest daughter goes to Alabama. She was recruited heavy by them. She was blessed to get a full ride scholarship there for academics. And there's other people that we know, even in Woodstock, that got the same kind of deal. They make it affordable. The campus is amazing. It is very conservative. I know the church she goes to, they have like 1,800 kids on a Tuesday night for their college ministry. I mean, it's fantastic.
Oh, it's beautiful.
My freshman daughter goes to South Dakota State. She was looking at schools in Wisconsin for law enforcement, for environmental, to be a game warden, but Illinois backed out of the reciprocity, or however you say it, the in-state tuition program.
Yeah, reciprocity.
With them.
Mm-hmm.
Reciprocity. Thank you. They clearly get their education from their mother, and so she got a great scholarship to go there, where she's paying. I mean, it's fantastic to go out of state there. And then the only reason our son's at Aurora University is to play football for Don Beebe.
Don Beebe. Oh, he's at Aurora, not Northwestern. Yeah, right. Yeah.
No, yeah, and that program is fantastic. Yep. You know, seeing him grow as a young man, and just in his faith, and also just as a young man, has been great. So, but yeah, the Alabama, my daughter's living her best life there. She's a senior, and her prospects coming out of there in the nursing program, how they help them get into places is just fantastic. So
thanks for the call, John.
Don Beebe, I wonder what position his son plays.
Mike in Countryside.
Hey, how you guys doing? I have a question. Maybe some of your listeners can answer this, because me and my wife are on the fence right now on where to send our son. I mean, we want to send him to Tennessee, but he's got something against that. But anyway, we've got to talk him into it. So our issue is that he's going to Joliet Junior College right now, and he's studying to be an engineer. We've got him experimenting with different classes so he can figure out, get his head straight on what he wants to do with his life. But anyway, so he's very smart, very gifted. He's in all the advanced classes. He has to take highly advanced math classes. And he walks into one of his classes that he's in right now, and the professor, the first thing he tells him is, just to make this clear, I don't teach.
What?
And that's what we're dealing with up here. I have 2 daughters that are in high school, and they say their teachers tell them the same thing. They told us at the parent-teacher conferences that our method of teaching is that the children have to figure it out on their own. So what I'm wondering is, and maybe your callers can answer this, do the schools down south, do they have a better quality of teacher down there? Do they actually teach and do their job?
Yes, at Georgia Tech they do. Yes.
Well, yeah.
He's only had one problem with one professor, which is not a big deal.
Thanks for the call, Mike. I mean,
language barrier.
I don't know this. We're all going to learn together, kind of thing.
They're called teachers for a reason, unless they want to be called babysitters, because it sounds like they're babysitting, not if they're not teaching.
Well, I mean, for your son at Joliet Junior College, particularly if he wants to stay local and maybe and move local to get in-state tuition, I'd say Purdue. With the idea of
really
engineering,
hard to get into Purdue
but
right
but I mean all those there's a lot of good engineering schools around, including in
Illinois, Iowa. They all have engineering schools.
Yes, right.
Right, but I'm just saying,
Iowa. Yeah.
Excuse
if,
me.
If he, yeah.
What, idiots out walking around?
Good to
I
have,
owe the world an apology?
It's good to have a safety school that's open enrollment.
Yeah.
Actually, I think the standards at Joliet Junior College are more stringent.
Okay.
Tony in Downers Grove.
Easy there, Wilbur.
So Dan, two things. First, the last caller, well, you're sending them to the wrong UT, number one. But it's not a secret that schools like Alabama, Mississippi have been heavily recruiting in the western suburbs, or in the suburbs, period.
Yeah, good.
They want to get their academic standard up, and they're giving tuition away.
So?
It's great.
Yeah, it's great.
But, well, I'm just saying that's not. It's not because they're such great schools. It's because no. They're becoming better schools.
Yes.
But let me tell you something. U of I is not a great school either. Maybe with the exception of engineering. And oh, by the way, maybe these land grant universities like at U of I could take a page out of the book of places like Texas that actually live up to their responsibilities to prioritize the taxpaying families in their states. Texas. U of I has the second highest in-state tuition in the Big Ten, behind only Penn State.
Because we don't care about our own. They're not interested in keeping the brightest and best from Illinois.
Clearly. Neil in LaGrange.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. Good morning. I have a senior down at University of Kentucky, and he's a mechanical engineering student, and I have a sophomore at Xavier. And the senior, he already has he's graduating, obviously, in the fall, a year from now, but he already has a job, and he's when he gets out of college. He's had an internship the last 2 summers, and they love him, and he's already has the commitment letter.
Wait, where was his internship?
At a major R&D company for a major heating and ventilation manufacturer.
Okay.
So, and no pun intended, right, Dan?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Anyway, but we sent them there because we didn't want them to come back to Illinois. Our family's here. Dan, you know who my father is, and but we don't want them to come back. And he out in his they gave him his first location, and he's going to move to Cincinnati.
All
right.
Go.
Well, listen.
Thanks for the call, Neil. Appreciate it. Well, I say again, that study on North Carolina, 2/3 of kids go out of state, or more to the point, 2/3 of kids go get their first job in the school, in the state, in the school which they went. So your kids are going off to SEC, ACC schools, wherever. You better get prepared to move. And frankly, and this is going to be also part of the outmigration. I mean, the thing that is holding people in Illinois is the kids are still in school, or they're figuring out where their kids are going to be in school, when they're going to get their first job. And then there's going to be a lot more productive families leaving because, well, you talk to anybody and they all have an exit plan. They have some questions they need to answer, but it's not like they're saying, no, Illinois, I'm lashed to the mast here. We're going to make it work. I'm sticking it out. You don't hear that very much. Greg, Jefferson Park.
Hey, good morning, guys. Hey, you remember me talking about my nephew who went to undergrad at Harvard and got his PhD at Stanford. He's currently teaching down at Southern Methodist University in Dallas. So even the kids who went out of school and got their Ivy League and all that stuff are heading down there. I should say that same nephew got his master's degree at Ole Miss in Oxford. That is an absolutely gorgeous campus. I was down there twice, and it's a beautiful town. So anybody's kids thinking, definitely consider that place. You guys have a good one.
Thanks, Greg. Matt, Birmingham, Alabama. Speaking of
when our oldest was looking at schools as a senior at Geneva High School back in 2014, he would not look at anything north. It was all south: Arkansas, Alabama, Lipscomb, Belmont. We did a whole entire tour. And he ended up getting a big scholarship for Stanford. I know what that one guy was saying, but he's missing the clues in terms of they want good kids. They don't care where they come from. North is fine. They do want Northerners down there if they can get them. My middle son only looked at Arkansas and Sanford and Auburn. Went to Sanford. My daughter only looked at University of South Carolina. She went in Sanford. She went to Sanford. Great schools, great climate. you on a Saturday, we literally watch football from 8 a.m. till midnight. On Saturdays, everybody just gets along, and it's a wonderful environment. I don't know. My wife and I both went to Indiana. We said to our kids, we do not want you going to IU. It's too liberal. It's too expensive.
Yeah.
Thanks for the call, Matt.
Southern hospitality is real. And it's so, people, you walk down the street and people say hi to you. You're like, oh, hi. What?
Yeah. And
wait, did somebody just say hi to me? Wait.
And the women down at those schools don't have penises, too. So that's attractive as well.
The girls are gorgeous. And what they wear to football games is adorable. They all wear cowboy boots and sundresses.
I almost went to University of Richmond. Colonial schools are good. A lot of good schools there, too. Smaller schools. But I almost went to University of Richmond.
What stopped you? Did you want to be closer to home?
No, I think I just that time I was
in the whole Northwestern thing.
Yeah, I wasn't as bright as I am today, and so I sort of like fell for the status of Northwestern, and that degree, that credential is going to be a big deal. It's sort of a sap as a kid.
It's all right. Youthful indiscretion. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
7:07. The Israelis make the leaders of Hamas stains on the road. We'll talk about that with Stephen Bucci, 7:07.
Today, warm with some clouds, plenty of sunshine, a high of 78 degrees. It is now 7 a.m. WIND Chicago.
Still reeling from Helene, from Florida to the Carolinas. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
This is the worst, most destructive, strongest storm I've ever been through.
He's in Steinhatchee, one of the Florida communities hit hardest by the hurricane first. Rain from Helene's remnants caused flooding up to Tennessee and North Carolina.
With no cell phone service, no running water, no electricity, and that is why there is an active search and rescue scenario still going on.
Fox Weather's Robert Ray is in Asheville, North Carolina, and reports roads in the region were washed out.
The compromised ability to get in and out of these beautiful mountains is difficult right now. There are rescuers on the ground, in the air, trying to get to remote locations in these mountains where there are people still cut off. In fact, hundreds of people, as we know.
Helene is blamed for at least 99 deaths. President Biden plans to soon visit storm-affected areas. Vice President Harris is cutting her campaign trip out west short to focus on FEMA's response. Former President Trump will meet with storm victims today in Georgia.
Crooked Joe Biden became mentally impaired, sad. But Lion Kamala Harris, honestly, I believe she was born that way.
The former president said in Pennsylvania the vice president should be impeached for allowing record illegal immigration. Harris said in Las Vegas.
Those who cross our borders unlawfully will be apprehended and removed and barred from re-entering for 5 years.
Also calling for comprehensive immigration reform. Israel keeps attacking militants in Lebanon, days after killing Hezbollah's leader there.
Causing massive damage not only to Hezbollah, but also Hamas and the liaison between the two organizations. The head of Hamas in Lebanon, Fatah Sharif, was taken out overnight in an airstrike in Lebanon, and so were militants from a different organization, 3 of them in central Beirut.
That's Fox's Nate Foy in Tel Aviv. America's listening to Fox News.
64 degrees at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A woman shot Sunday evening on the city's near south side around 7:45 p.m. in the Chinatown neighborhood, the scene close to a CTA Red Line station. Bears bounce back with a 24-18 win over the Rams at Soldier Field. Head coach Matt Eberflus on the win.
We honored the football. The football was where we were 2, got 2. We ended up not getting the other one. He called out of bounds, but we ended up getting 2 and then, not giving it away. So when you win that battle, +2 in the turnover margin, you got a good chance for success.
The Bears host the Panthers next Sunday. One person died after being shot Sunday near Illinois State University. Shooting happened as Normal police were dispersing a large pop-up party in the 300 block of North Main. The school says, along with Normal police, both of the injured on the scene were not university students. And again, one of those injured later died at a nearby hospital. Chicago man is accused of sex trafficking a 16-year-old who had been reported missing in central Illinois. The FBI contacted Cook County sheriffs after images of that victim were found on different websites. An investigator posing as a sex buyer arranged a meeting with the victim at a motel in Cicero. When the victim arrived, officers safely recovered the teen and took Tervon Moore into custody. He was ordered detained at the Cook County Jail as he now awaits trial. Chicago sports, well, Cubs had 3 hits in a season-ending 3-0 10-inning loss to the Reds, while the worst team in modern Major League Baseball history ends its season with a win yesterday. White Sox beat the playoff-bound Tigers 9-5. The news service of Balance of Nature, fruits and vegetables in a capsule. Save 35% off your preferred order with promo code Chicago. Order online at balanceofnature.com and use coupon code Chicago to save 35% as a preferred customer. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher sees a weird twist to the immigration issue.
You know, the issue of assimilation. Residents of Springfield, Ohio, reporting that Haitians are eating their family pets, killing the ducks and geese in the ponds. It's another gift of the Biden-Harris mass immigration plan.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm a 70-year-old man. I'm not a young guy, and I'm an ex-athlete. Well, yeah, when I was taking it, I recognized that I was feeling better. You know what I'm saying? And just mentally knowing is important also.
I am a customer of you guys. I love your product. Love it, love it. Nothing but good things to say about your product. I love it. And as long as y'all don't sell it, I'm going to take it as long as I can.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code Chicago.
Hey guys, Donald Trump Jr. here. Let me ask you this. Does inflation feel worse than what we're being told in the news? That's because the official inflation rate doesn't tell the whole story. Since January 2021, the cost of living has increased by 17.9%. You can't get that money back. But what you can do is stop your losses today. How? By diversifying your savings into a gold IRA from my friends at Birch Gold Group. When you're done, your money will be parked in a tangible asset with a proven history. To see how it works, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word PROTECT to 989898. I trust Birch Gold. They provide an easy process to roll over your 401k or IRA into gold without losing your tax advantaged status. So text PROTECT to 989898. That's PROTECT to the number 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRAs from Birch Gold.
Message and data rates may apply.
If you have high blood pressure, listen to this story. Ira was given a grim diagnosis about his blood pressure. His doctor warned it's sky high. If he didn't get it down in 3 weeks, he was going to need surgery. So Ira began exercising, went on medication. But what seemed to be the miracle change, his diet. After thorough research and consulting with a nutritionist friend, Ira concocted a juice from foods that work like natural blood pressure medicines. 2 weeks later, his blood pressure dropped 30 points. What helped save Ira's life, amazed his doctor, is now available to you. Ira and his nutritionist founded 120 Life, a delicious juice and powdered mix with natural ingredients that have shown to lower blood pressure. Try it yourself risk-free with a 2-week trial pack. Go to 120life.com and use coupon code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping. They're so sure it can noticeably lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks, they'll give your money back if you're not satisfied. Order now, 120life.com. Use coupon code 560 at checkout.
7:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of almostfreeteeth.com. What if you could save on average 90% for dental implants? Get 100% of that smile back with a Blue Cross, Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP. It's possible. Check if you qualify, almostfreeteeth.com. Outbound Kennedy, a mess. Jammed solid near Bryn Mawr with an accident on the right-hand shoulder. Northbound 55, accident, 2 left lanes blocked. Inbound at Weber Road, you're backed up to Route 126. Bishop Ford slammed solid 111th up through King Drive. And delays mounting on the Reagan right now. Eastbound 88 end up York to the Tri-State. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Today, times of clouds and sun. It'll be a warm afternoon. The high today up to 78. Partly cloudy, mild tonight. Low 63. Partly sunny, windy, less humidity tomorrow. The high 70. And then sunshine. A very nice day on Wednesday. The high 73. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
65 at O'Hare. Next news 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Big news over the weekend. The Israelis striking Hezbollah's senior leadership and taking out its longtime terrorist leader, Hassan Nasrallah. This terrorist was responsible for the Beirut barracks bombing in '83 that took 241 Marines, hijackings, kidnappings, torture, basically death, pain and death. And yet he's they're so lost. This is D.C. press corps. I mean, a man who empowered Lebanon's once downtrodden and impoverished Shiite community. That's Jeff Bezos' outlet. Seen as his supporters as a charismatic and shrewd strategist, idealized by his Lebanese Shiite followers, Associated Press. New York Times, powerful orator, beloved by many Shiite Muslims. Of course, the New York Times, this is the same outlet that once upon a time wrote about Adolf Hitler as a Bavarian gentleman who liked to take long walks with his dogs. So, they're not always exactly on point when it comes to understanding the world around them, but to do essentially a hagiographic interference for Hassan Nasrallah speaks to their ignorance and probably, in certain circles, latent anti-Semitism. Anyway, remember Nasrallah had this public address after the Hamas terrorist attack on October 7th last year. And it was, of course, covered, much like these same outlets are covering his death because of the throngs of people that came out to hear this public address. You may want to also take judicial notice of, Lebanese Christians who are celebrating Nasrallah's death. It's a little bit more uneven, the popularity of Nasrallah, than the D.C. press corps in this country would have you believe, which is, again, just such a sad commentary and stinging indictment of those outlets.
Well, the Washington Post, he was seen as a father figure, a moral compass, and a political guide. Mm-hmm. Father figure? Really?
Nasrallah, in that October 7th address, or that public address after October 7th, issued a warning to the United States. Remember, as Bibi has been trying to impress upon those in this country, what the Israelis are enduring from Iran proxies is our fight too, because don't think the Iranians don't aim to do us harm as well, despite the Joe Obama administration's posture that they're this soon-to-be partner in peace.
Development of events in Gaza. It is the first factor, the development of events in Gaza. That's why this front will devolve according to the nature of development in Gaza and what is required. The second factor that is in play is the conduct and the demeanor of the Zionist enemy towards Lebanon. And here, once again, I warn you not to go further, as many civilians have fallen as martyrs. And this will bring us to the same equation. A civilian for a civilian. Again, the demeanors of the enemy against Lebanon will be a factor in play. I am speaking openly, candidly, and at the same time with ambiguity, constructive ambiguity. All scenarios are open. All scenarios are open on our Lebanese southern front. I reiterate, all scenarios are open. All options are laid out, and we can adopt any at any point of time.
Yeah, well, there's nothing ambiguous about Nasrallah's current state, and all options are no longer on the table for him, and that's good news. For more on this and other geopolitical matters, including the competing Zelensky meetings with the presidential candidates on Friday, pleased to be joined by Stephen Bucci, who served America for 3 decades as Army Special Forces officer and a top Pentagon official, now a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Oh, it's always my pleasure. Thank you for having me on the show, and particularly with this subject this is good news.
It is, but you'd be hard-pressed to understand that's the case in certain circles in this country. A piece by Lee Smith at Tablet Magazine. I just want to read the concluding paragraph. Killing Nasrallah, which is something people should read. He writes, if Washington and the Europeans are appalled by Israelis' campaign over the last 2 weeks, it's because the Israelis have resurfaced the ugly truth that no modish theories of war, international organizations, or even American presidents could long obscure. Wars are run by killing the enemy, above all those who inspire their people to kill yours. Killing Nasrallah not only anchors Israel's victory in Lebanon, but reestablishes the old paradigm for any Western leaders who take seriously their duty to protect their countrymen and civilization. Kill your enemies.
That is the traditional view of war, and one that stayed in place at least through the end of World War II. The thought was there in the Cold War that you at least had to have the capability to destroy your enemy and show the will to do so if it became necessary to deter an enemy from doing things against you. And we seem to have lost that to the advantage of our enemies. That now we think, we just need to talk to them and find out what their motivation is, and then possibly accommodate those motivations, and then we'll have peace. And it's just wrong. It has never been true, and sadly will never be true.
Well, by contrast, and to your point, this administration, that would include Kamala Harris, because as Joe Biden says, they do everything together. Qatar becomes the second Muslim nation whose citizens can travel to the United States without a visa. I mean, Qatar is playing host to, and has played host to, the senior leadership of Hamas. What is that?
Well, we've had a long history of these rather difficult relations with stronger Muslim countries. We've had it with Saudi Arabia. We've had it with Qatar. We've had it with Pakistan. Countries that are, in some cases, our best partners when we're trying to do something, are also playing the other side of the line and are housing or assisting our biggest enemies. It's difficult to.
Well, so with Qatar, what's in it for us?
Qatar has helped us a great deal in the war on terror, but then on this other end of it, now the war on terror, when it's no longer on Sunni terrorist groups, suddenly Qatar is, its true colors are coming out of its assisting Shia groups like Hamas, like Hezbollah, like Iran, So they're playing both sides of the fence.
Why? So why should we reward them?
Well, because they also have allowed us to have a major base there. They've had their special operations forces have helped us greatly. The problem you have is you have an administration now who really is not in the driver's seat. And so instead of saying, okay, well, we're making some concessions here by turning a blind eye to X because we're getting A, B, and C. Now we're getting zero, and they're not just doing some, little things on the side. They are major players with our enemies. So the relationship needs to be adjusted at the very least.
So how is Iran going to retaliate for his death?
They will probably at some point either try and conduct a terrorist operation against Israeli assets, perhaps around the world, or they will try again one of these mass barrages from Iran into Israel, which that one they're kind of hoping against hope, because the Israelis have the capability, particularly with their Arab allies, mostly Sunni countries, who are going to stop them from doing that and make it, frankly, of no effect. The real concern is, does Iran wait a while until it finishes getting a nuclear device that they can put on a missile and then try and do it with that? If that happens, then if people think the gloves are off now in Israel, they will come off completely, and there will be some very, very large holes in the ground in various places around the country of Iran.
What about not going
to help?
What about on American soil? I mean, we had that Iranian a plot to kill the President Trump that was allegedly unearthed. We have open borders. So, I mean, the idea of getting a asset into this country to do damage to this country is certainly, it's more than plausible. We have an FBI director who continues warning about it to no great effect. So what's your concern there about heightened probability they'll try to hurt America?
I am concerned, and I don't have the assets of the FBI director to see what's really out there, but the opportunity is there, clearly the motivation is there, and if they can't get at Israel, frankly, right now we're a much softer target than Israel.
Yeah.
They could do that. Now, I think the one thing that might deter them is if they did that and the Biden administration did nothing in response, they will basically be assuring President Trump's election. And I think the Iranians do not want that. They want to see Kamala Harris win the election because they think they will continue with the largesse and ridiculous policies that the Obama and Biden administrations have followed. And they'll continue to be able to support terrorism around the world. They know if Trump gets back in, they're basically done.
Bibi Netanyahu spoke before the UN last week. He had a particularly pointed message, not dissimilar from his address to Congress a few weeks earlier. And I just want to play a riff from Bibi, sort of under the heading, "If you strike us, we strike you." And just ask you if this is something we should be hearing from, I don't know, say an American president?
Israel seeks peace. Israel yearns for peace. Israel has made peace and will make peace again. Yet we face savage enemies who seek our annihilation, and we must defend ourselves against these savage murderers. Our enemies seek not only to destroy us, they seek to destroy our common civilization and return all of us to a dark age of tyranny and terror.
It's just nice to hear a moral clarity from a head of state, since we don't get that very much in America anymore.
No, you're spot on with that. That speech should be exactly the same words being spoken from the U.S. White House. Not, oh, no, let's ratchet back in Lebanon. You don't need to do anything else. We need to negotiate now. The other side, meaning the line of Iran, Hamas, Hezbollah, Syria, the Houthis, none of those people really want to negotiate at all. As Netanyahu very clearly stated, their only goal is the annihilation of Israel and at least a withdrawal of the Western civilized countries from having anything to do with the Middle East, not because they think, well, what's the big deal? They realize as long as the West is in the Middle East, Iran, will never have the level of control that they feel they deserve to have as, from their point in history and their belief in God. So that needs to be stated. That needs to be understood. This nonsense that we're going to make Iran a useful partner for anything in the Middle East needs to be jettisoned unless there's some major change, meaning a complete regime change within Iran. Right now, that is not going to happen, and none of these other groups are going to cooperate as long as Iran is still feeding them funds, weapons, training, advisors, and diplomatic support. It's just not going to change. Israel is taking the only path that makes any sense at all, and we should be behind them 110%, not this, we're with you guys, but we're not going to send you those 500-pound bombs. We're with you, but, you really ought to stop and negotiate. That is not helping anyone.
Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official, now a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen, thank you as always. Appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me on the show, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $240. There are only 2 good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part, my guidance cost you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side, your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
It's today like every day you're waking up with achy joints. You have joint pain in your knees, maybe your shoulder, your hips. You've tried steroid shots over and over, daily doses of medication. But guess what? Those are just Band-Aids for the pain. Let's talk about real, lasting relief. You know, thousands of patients will tell you it is possible with help from QC Kinetics. People here in Chicago are reducing the inflammation, getting mobility back, and most importantly, getting their lives back. Living with pain is no fun. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in cellular therapies using your own body's healing properties, concentrated and carefully placed in your achy joint. Cutting-edge treatments, folks, that require no surgery, no drugs, no downtime. Developed by medical professionals and under the leadership of Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, a former orthopedic surgeon and a pioneer in clinical regenerative medicine. The choice is yours. You could continue with the steroids and daily medications, or you could pursue surgery, or you can have long recovery with QC Kinetics. Here's what you do. Find a location near you. Call this number, 312-809-5955. The consultation is free. Saturday appointments available. New locations in Crystal Lake and Gurnee. The number to call, 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955. 5955. That's 312-809-5955.
Building owners, property managers, and chief engineers. This one's for you.
Hello, this is Bruce Diedrich with Waukegan Roofing, your professional roofer. Everything starts on top. Your investment, your building, and everything in it is protected by your roof. It needs to be in good shape. That's where we can help. If it needs to be repaired or replaced, or you think it might, call us. Let's find out. Here's the number.
847-623-1625.
At Waukegan Roofing, our employees are union-trained roofing professionals with OSHA safety training certifications and have thorough knowledge and expertise regarding the various roofing systems we sell, maintain, and install. We know commercial roofing systems because that's all we do. Over 110 years of doing commercial roofs. Waukegan Roofing has the slogan,
Roofs you can rely on.
Because you can. Here's the number to call.
847-623-1625.
And get the info at waukeganroofing.com. waukeganroofing.com.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. Your business and your money are in good hands with Signature Bank. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Jason Zenger, owner of Zenger's Industrial Supply and host of the Making Chips podcast, and a proud customer of Signature Bank. Through rapid growth, acquisitions of competitors, and taking over from the previous generation, Signature Bank was there with us every step of the way. Recently, the team introduced us to FinRails AP, their proprietary system for accounts payable automation. Not only did FinRails AP help us to reduce costs and create efficiencies, but it also helped minimize fraud risk. Now, our company can invest time into what we do best, supplying industrial products, metalworking tooling, contractor tools, and safety supplies to those who make, build, and create great things for our country.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Donald Trump Jr. here. Since January of 2021, the cost of living has increased by 17.9%. You can't get that money back, but you can stop your losses by diversifying into a gold IRA from my friends at Birch Gold Group. To learn more, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word SHELTER to 989898. That's SHELTER to the number 989898 to get your free info kit from Birch Gold now.
Message and data rates may apply. From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds in conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel. Home to the biggest shows on TV, like Sebastian Gorka, weekdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, followed by Stacey Washington at 5. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free now on Zumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Zumo.
Go with your gut. Your dog's immune system is based in the gut. A diet lacking in nutrients can cause itching, scratching, and a weak immune system. However, there is a solution. DINOVITE, Dinovite.
It took a grand total of 2 weeks. The dog stopped itching, the hair stopped falling out.
Try Dinovite for free. Just pay shipping and handling. Learn more at dinovite.com/radio.
Happier, healthier with every bite. Over 1 million pets helped with Dinovite.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024 by USA Today, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, just $189.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 500,000 happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
I got to admit, it was nice to see Dana Carvey return to SNL. It harkened back to a better time when SNL was actually funny at 7:37.
Yeah, they got their funny back. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
7:33. More than 2 million people in the Southeast are without power, 250,000 without cell phone service, all following Hurricane Helene.
We now have 30 confirmed losses due to the storm.
That is Buncombe County Sheriff Quentin Miller this morning talking about just his county alone. More than 100 are feared dead, hundreds others missing. in western North Carolina, Georgia, South Carolina, and Florida.
I think we got a lot of systems back online. We've got some water coming to the county for folks who still don't have water service.
Allison Richmond with Haywood County with one bright spot there. North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper says his priority is getting people out, getting supplies in. Again, that death toll has climbed over 100 this morning. Evacuations took place in the Atlanta area after a chemical plant fire ignited. Flames were put out early Sunday but sparked back up a few hours later. Dark smoke filled the air. Several area communities were told to stay inside to avoid hazards. A man authorities say was lying in wait in hopes of assassinating former President Donald Trump on a golf course in Florida is expected to be arraigned today. 58-year-old Ryan Ruth was arrested earlier this month. Israeli airstrikes hit central Beirut. Fox's Nate Foy has more from Israel.
Israeli airstrikes continue inflicting serious damage on several terrorist organizations, not only Hezbollah, also a Hamas leader taken out overnight in Lebanon along with his family, as well as 3 Palestinian militants from a separate organization in central Beirut, an area that had not been hit to this point of the conflict. The Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine is the group that the 3 militants belong to. They say the strike hit the upper floor of an apartment building, but another strike from Israel sent an even bigger message yesterday. Israel hit Yemen's port city of Hodeidah. This is retaliation after Yemen's Houthi rebels fired 2 missiles at Tel Aviv last week.
Israel urging Lebanese civilians to stay away from suspected Hezbollah positions again today. President Biden says he will not get involved in the potential strike of thousands of longshoremen, dock workers threatening to walk off the job after labor contracts stalled with the U.S. Maritime Association, an alliance. It affects the East Coast and the Gulf Coast. A woman shot Sunday evening on the city's near south side. The shooting happened around 7:45 along West Cermak in the Chinatown neighborhood. She was hospitalized in fair condition, the shooting close to a CTA Red Line station. And Northern Illinois University confirms this morning they're closing the Laredo Taft Field campus in the Northern Illinois town of Oregon. That according to an announcement from the university. The announcement cites costly repairs to buildings and aging infrastructure as the reason the university plans to close the site permanently effective mid-December. The 141-acre Laredo Taft Field campus was acquired by Northern Illinois University in 1941. The campus has been visited by generations of elementary and middle school students in the Chicago area for outdoor education activities, as well as conferences, meetings, and retreats. Chicago sports. Cubs had just 3 hits in a 3-0 10-inning loss to the Reds at Wrigley Field to close 2024. Meantime, the worst team in modern Major League Baseball ends its season with a win. It's the White Sox beat the Tigers 9-5 at Comerica Park. Blackhawks gave up a 2-goal lead in a 3-2 overtime loss in the preseason to St. Louis. The news, a service of the Del Bacchio Marchetti Group of ad properties, Christie's International Real Estate. Experts in the northwest suburbs and Chicago with over $800 million in sales. Call 708-828-0000. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka can see Harris stretching the truth again.
We have 5 million assault weapons on the streets of America. We've got to deal with this.
How mandatory is your gun buyback program?
It's mandatory.
5 million assault weapons on the streets of America. It's weird. I have lots of quote-unquote assault weapons. None of mine are walking around the streets of America.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Oil investments involve a high degree of risk and actual results may vary.
Limited time left. Are you ready to seize a unique investment opportunity that could save you in taxes for 2024 and help you secure your financial future? Goldman Sachs predicts oil to remain in the $70 to $100 range. So why not invest in the uptrend now? That's the sound of a producing oil well and the sound of a smart investment. If you are an SEC-accredited investor with at least $100,000 in liquid assets, you can take advantage of Encore Energy's exclusive projects and a significant tax write-off for 2024. But hurry, there's limited time left this year to benefit from the incredible tax incentive. Imagine nearly 100% of your investment being deductible for 2024. Don't miss out on this limited-time opportunity to create monthly income for up to 20 or more years to come. Call 800-278-7455 now and connect to a knowledgeable Encore Energy representative. Encore is a major investor and experienced operator in its core area of operations. Call Encore Energy now at 800-278-7455. That's 800-278-7455.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $240. There are only two good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part, my guidance cost you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side, your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
I don't need to tell you how important a good night's sleep is, but like most people, sometimes you can't fall asleep or you wake up during the night. That's why I want to tell you about Z-Factor. Z-Factor is a 100% drug-free way to help you fall asleep faster, sleep longer, and sleep better. Z-Factor is from the makers of Relief Factor. Now, Z-Factor uses a formula of 4 all-natural ingredients to calm your mind and relax your body so you ease into sleep faster and sleep through the night. Just ask Maureen G. She said, quote, this product broke a 15-year nightly cycle of lying in bed for hours before falling asleep, unquote. Or Bernard K., who said, it cut down significantly the amount of times I wake up. Rediscover the joy of a great night's sleep, just like Barbara, who called it the best sleep I ever had. Try Z-Factor from Relief Factor and save 46% on your first order. Just go to ReliefFactor.com to order, ReliefFactor.com, or call 800-4-RELIEF. That's 800-4-RELIEF for Z-Factor.
Longing for thick, healthy, gorgeous hair? Say goodbye to shedding, thin, and dull hair, and hello to thick, healthy hair with Hair Volume from New Nordic.
7:41 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. This update is service of almostfreeteeth.com. With the Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, you could save an average of 90% for dental implants and get 100% of that smile back. Check if you qualify. Almostfreeteeth.com. Glendale Heights, North Avenue and Glen Ellen Road. Report of an accident. The Reagan I-88 jams up Route 25 to Eola Road. Jane Addams accident, left shoulder eastbound between Route 59 and Barrington Road. DuSable Lakeshore Drive northbounders, you're jammed up 18th to Monroe. Still delays as you travel on the I-55. 2 left lanes blocked inbound on 55 at Weber Road. You're back up to Route 126. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Warm day ahead. Clouds and sun, high 78. Partly cloudy and mild, low 63 overnight. Partly cloudy and 64 right now. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Before we get to the return of a couple of SNL veterans to Saturday Night Live to make it briefly tolerable this past weekend, Caddy Kay, former BBC journalist, had an interesting comment on MSNBC in one of those interminable panel discussions they do about the different illustrations of masculinity competing for your attention in this presidential election. Take a listen.
Particular particularly at a time, I think, on this campaign where we've got kind of two different views of masculinity. I mean, I think as women, perhaps, and I'm sure you've noticed that too, Jean, there's this kind of alpha retro view of masculinity that we're seeing from the Trump campaign. And then you've got Tim Walz and Doug Emhoff, who are both professional men, but are in sort of supportive roles of a woman who's the principal candidate. And how they are, and he said something very interesting. He said, look, you can't scold people. You can't tell them you should be more supportive of women and women candidates, and that's going to help everybody. But he hopes that by leading by example, by talking about the fact that he loves his wife, that you can make space for women to rise to the top, and it doesn't diminish your masculinity.
The competing manifestations of masculinity, retro alpha with Trump, and, you know, the sensitive making space for the little lady of a Tim Walz and a Doug Emhoff. Oh, boy. I mean, in a sense, this is not new ground that we're plotting. I mean, I go back just in my formative years when Alan Alda was the archetype of the sensitive man, the sensitive enlightened man. And everybody else is, who's basically not a simp of the left, which Alan Alda was and is some sort of Philistine. And so we're just seeing this replay itself in a modern context because you have a female head of the ticket, not dissimilar to what you got a little bit, but a little bit less with Hillary Clinton because of her history. It's just so exhausting. They pretend to provide grand insight by presenting two caricatures. I mean, they're just such dum-dums, really. And, you know, they're part of the reason our political discourse is so stultifying. Anyway, it's a perfect transition because one such example of the Doug Emhoff, Tim Walz, making room for the little lady is the guy that replaced Dennis Miller. I think there were a few people in between on the Saturday Night Live news desk.
Oh,
Mr. Scarlett Johansson. I think she calls him Colony.
Gross.
A number of TikTok users have been posting videos that use AI to translate Adolf Hitler's speeches into English. Let's take a look.
They're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats.
Yeah, that's standard issue of Saturday Night Live in terms of what it is now. Trump is Hitler, hilarious.
Oh, that's really funny.
So original.
Yeah.
But it was nice to see Dana Carvey back because he is a real talent. And he speaks to a better time when SNL had real talent, the Dana Carveys and the John Lovitzes and, of course, the Phil Hartmans of the world. And Carvey was there to reprise. Well, I don't.
Well,
did
no,
he ever?
hasn't done-
Did he ever do Joe Biden?
No, this is his first time doing.
Yeah, I didn't think
he
so.
Nailed it. Oh,
well, what he's really good at doing, I mean, which is what, like his famous George H.W. Bush impersonation. He's really good at picking up the patter of these politicians. Like, remember with H.W., it was, wouldn't be prudent at this juncture, 1,000 points of light, stay the course. You did all of that. And because they are so repetitive, and the patter does have a certain rhythm to it, and he did a good job of picking up on Joe Biden's.
Folks, that's right. A lot of people forget I'm president.
We couldn't have gotten here without one man, and his name is Joe Biden. Get on out here, Joe Biden.
Folks, that's right. A lot of people forget I'm president, including me. But guess what? And by the way, I think I did a pretty good job. I passed more bills than any president in history. But folks, we still got work to do, no joke. I'm being serious right now. Come on. And guess what? And by the way, the fact of the matter is, the rich don't pay their fair share. They gotta pay the fair share. We gotta build back better. Build back the better, the better, the better. Build back the better. Can't believe it's not butter.
Thank you, Joe Biden. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Oh, he's not done yet.
Thank you. And I just want to say thank you, Joe Biden. Thank you for putting country first and for handing over the reins.
I didn't want to. They made me. And guess what? And by the way, the fact of the matter is, no joke, this is serious right now. I mean, it's serious. Anyway, in conclusion, me and Vice President Harris are the same.
Oh, okay. Ha ha. Great stuff. Thank you, Joe. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right. Goodbye, Joe. Goodbye, Biden.
Yeah, very good, Dana Carvey.
Then they brought back Jim Gaffigan, who lost a lot of weight, by the way, as Tim Walz. And did you see this one? This is good.
Folks, I haven't been this excited since I got a 10% rebate on a leaf blower from Menards. What can I say? I got that BDE, Big Dad Energy. You see what I did there? You get it?
I got it. I didn't want it, but I got it.
You know, Trump and Vance are weird, all right? And they want the government to control what you do in your bedroom and what books you read. You know, in Minnesota, we have a saying, mind your damn business. We also have another saying in Minnesota, my nuts froze to the park bench.
Funny, not funny?
It's not funny. And it's a good example of what SNL does and what this culture does. Compare and contrast the send-up that Carvey gives Joe Biden to that Jim Gaffigan send-up of Walz. I mean, outside of when he came on stage and he did all the gesticulations and stuff, that was good because it's so bizarre. But what was the send-up of Tim Walz there? What was funny about that?
Well, I mean, the funny part was, you're right, when he walked on stage, and he basically repeated the same exact thing that he says on the campaign trail.
Yeah, so how is that a send-up? How is that caricaturing a politician to have fun at his expense? No, it's
a bashing Trump.
It's a positioning for Tim Walz. Oh yeah, Tim Walz is a regular Midwestern guy who likes 10% off on a lawnmower or whatever he said there. Oh, you know, Minnesota, it's cold. It's not Tim Walz is a Chinese communist stooge. They could have done that angle. It's not that Tim Walz is a pathological liar who has all sorts of fabulous stories about himself that turn out not to be supportable.
That's why they don't let him talk to the media.
So they don't parody his weakness. They quote unquote parody the image he's trying to create. So how is that parody? It's not.
All right, let me play for you Doug Emhoff, played by Andy Samberg. After rubbing noses on stage.
'Tis I, Doug, the second gentlemensch, also known as Charlie Brown if he was a grown-up. Guys, how amazing is Kamala? I mean, look at her! I feel like I'm in one of those movies where Seth Rogen dates Charlize Theron. I mean, how did I get this woman? And look, I've heard what the right says about me just because I'm unapologetic about being a man supporting his wife. Oh, he's a beta, a wife guy, a trad huzz, a little spoon. Well, you know what? If helping Kamala, who we call Mamala in my family, not sure if I mentioned that, become president, being a little spoon, then you can cut my little butt.
Yeah. Not funny.
Oof. Paul and Racine, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Like him.
Well, one angle they could have taken there is the fact that Doug impregnated his former nanny.
Yep.
So I don't know. Is that masculinity? Is that the new masculinity we all need to strive for?
Yeah, right.
She was banished out of their town.
So suggesting that Andy Samberg, I mean, I like Andy Samberg. He's great in Brooklyn Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He was good, and he's some funny movies. Hot Rod was good. But anyway,
helping the cause.
Calling Doug Emma. So I know they call me a trad husband. No, they don't. Who does that? This is comedy. This is like having fun at their expense. Theater. It's not having fun at their expense. It's helping to further the brand identity they seek. Having fun at their expense is what Dana Carvey did, and what all politicians should be subject to. Now compare that to how they treated Trump.
Come on
I'm back. We're having fun. We love my rallies, except when someone does bing, bong, bing, 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 right at me. You know, that happened because of the rhetoric of the radical left.
Assassination attempts are...
Oh, that's funny.
That's a punchline. That's the send-up on Trump. Okay.
Way to minimize the importance of what happened there.
Well, that's
okay.
the point.
Yeah.
That's what they're intending to do, of course.
And they had him behind, bulletproof glass.
So it was fun. I mean, Maya Rudolph is a fun Kamala, the Funt.
The Funt. She's the original Funt.
And it was okay to have her back. Dana Carvey was a fleeting moment of genuine comedy on Saturday Night Live again, but that moment has since passed.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484.
If you own or run a business and you listen to AM 560, you might not realize that the conservative programming that you enjoy is supported by advertisers. Our loyal listeners love to do business with the advertisers they hear every day on AM 560. Now, it probably won't surprise you that there are some businesses who avoid advertising with us because they don't like what we do here. And that's okay, because our audience wants to support businesses that support what we do and think like we think. We would love to have you join the list of successful companies who are already reaching new, like-minded customers. Most AM 560 advertisers have been here for years for one simple reason: they get results. Join our efforts to make a difference in the lives of our listeners who are passionate about supporting our great family of AM 560 advertisers. To learn more, just visit 560theanswer.com/advertise. That's 560theanswer.com/advertise.
All right, many of you have been asking about Freedom Summit, and we're excited to announce that tickets are now on sale for Freedom Summit 2024. It is happening on Saturday, November 2nd at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca, where we had it in years past. It's a full day of keynote speeches, book signings, breakout sessions, and much more. Our friend economist Stephen Moore will be there. Dr. Sebastian Gorka will be there, along with many more. If you haven't been to Freedom Summit, then you need to join us this year. And if you're a Freedom Summit veteran, we would love to see you again. This event sells out every year, so do not wait to get your tickets. Go to freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. We have tickets available at several different price points to fit your budget. So get your tickets and make plans to join us at Freedom Summit Chicago 2024 on November 2nd, freedomsummitchicago.com.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call now at 800-533-6605 for a free consultation. For 17 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau and a Christian-owned company. Don't get stuck in the endless cycle of payments. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Christian-owned Total Financial Freedom now at 800-533-6605. That's 800-533-6605. 800-533-6605.
Balance of Nature Supplements, changing the world, one life at a time.
I'm a doctor myself.
I've used it, and I've turned a lot of my patients onto it as well. It's a good product.
I've actually taken the bottles up to him, and my doctor, he tells me, keep doing it.
I am 87 years old, and I am an RN, and my PhD work is in anatomy and physiology. I watched your advertisement on TV, and I thought, I'll try it for just a month. I have stayed on it. Just think it is a marvelous product.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
Got a text message. Dan and Amy, at least they didn't impersonate Melania. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:08, we'll talk about underreporting crime, domestic and foreign, in the city of Chicago with Pastor Corey Brooks, New Beginnings Church, founder and CEO of Project Hood. Corey Brooks at 8:08.
And bring up Brandon bodies. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
1 killed and 1 wounded in a Normal, Illinois shooting. Battle Dalton mayor is facing possible eviction. An Elgin resident killed in a Streamwood shooting. Bears bounce back with a win over the Rams. Trump to rally in Dane County in Milwaukee tomorrow. We're just finding out details about that. Bears bounce back with a win over the Rams. Cubs get blanked by the Reds. And the White Sox down the Tigers in the season finale. WIND Chicago News Time, 8 o'clock.
Still trying to reach victims of Helene. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
We are still in an active search and rescue phase.
Lillian Govis, Buncombe County Communications Director, tells Fox, in addition to the historic flooding in Asheville, North Carolina, after more than 2 feet of rain fell on some areas from the storm's remnants, hundreds have been cut off.
I-40, which is the main interstate that takes you all the way to the beach from Asheville, that interstate is closed because the top of a mountain has actually slid down and covered that entire interstate.
Many still have no power or cell service or running water in the Asheville region. There's also damage and flooding in South Carolina and Tennessee down to Florida, where the hurricane hit first. At least 99 deaths are blamed on Helene. President Biden plans to go to disaster areas. Vice President Harris is ending her campaign trip out west early to focus on FEMA response. Former President Trump will meet with storm victims today in Georgia. At a Pennsylvania rally, he called the vice president mentally impaired, blaming her for record illegal immigration.
Already hundreds of people have been murdered because of her action at the border, and thousands more will follow in rapid succession. She should be impeached and prosecuted for her actions.
Now in Las Vegas, Harris called Trump an agent of chaos while pushing for comprehensive immigration reform and federal abortion rights.
1 in 3 women in America lives in a state with a Trump abortion ban. Even for rape and incest. It is immoral.
Israel still on the attack in Lebanon. Days after killing Hezbollah's leader, they killed Hamas's leader in that country and 3 other Palestinian militants.
As Israeli airstrikes continue, both Hezbollah and Israel prepare for what comes next in this conflict. Hezbollah says that it's ready for an Israeli ground offensive into Lebanon, while Israel's Yoav Gallant told troops this morning that killing Hassan Nasrallah was only part of the plan, not the whole plan. More is coming.
Fox's Nate Foy in Tel Aviv. America's listening to Fox News.
It's 8:02 on AM 560, The Answer, and good morning. I'm Mike Scott. And topping our news, a man wounded after a shooting and crash on the Near West Side this early morning. It happened around 1:42 a.m. in the 200 block of South Ashland Avenue. A woman was shot Sunday evening on the city's near South Side. There were delays in the area of 100 block of West Cermak with a large police response in the Chinatown neighborhood. The woman was rushed to a hospital in fair condition. The scene of the shooting is close to a CTA Red Line station. Bears bounce back for a 24-18 win over the Rams at Soldier Field. Caleb Williams led the way.
Our work throughout this past week was different than our other weeks before, and I think that that goes to our leadership. That goes to our communication, what I've talked about multiple times. I think the growth is there. I think the leadership and the vets that we have around.
DeAndre Swift had 93 yards on the ground and 7 grabs through the air. We're hearing about delays this morning. Several metro lines experiencing disruptions, including the Milwaukee District North Line train. Mechanical and other issues are reported. Well, the baseball season comes to a close. Cubs lost to the Reds 3-0 in 10 innings, while the White Sox were winners, beating the playoff-bound Tigers 9-5. The news, a service of Balance of Nature, fruits and vegetables in a capsule. Save 35% off your first preferred order with promo code Chicago. Order online at balanceofnature.com. Coupon code Chicago to save 35% as a preferred customer. But hurry up. Offer ends soon. 8:04. Time for the AM 560 Business Beat. It's a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
DirecTV is merging with its competitor Dish. The deal was made possible by AT&T selling its controlling interest in DirecTV to investment firm TPG in a deal worth roughly $7.6 billion. DirecTV will buy Dish from its owner EchoStar for $1, but will also assume about $9.8 billion in debt. The deal requires approval of bondholders and federal regulators. Video game company Epic Games, maker of Fortnite, is suing Google and Samsung. Epic claims the tech companies colluded to add restrictions on app stores after Google lost an antitrust case. And shares of Jeep's parent Stellantis are down 12% after it lowered expectations for this year. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
8:05, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk can see the disconnect.
The propaganda that was being put forward. I'm Kamala Harris, and I want a tax cut for middle-income families. I'm Kamala Harris. And, of course, the question is, well, why haven't you done it already? Why haven't you done the middle-class tax cut? She doesn't believe it. It's just pure political propaganda for power. Is that there's a disconnect between what people are seeing on television and what's happening on the ground.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Paul Jenkins, owner of Bancroft Architects and Engineers, a service-disabled veteran-owned small business providing design solutions for clients, including the VA. When looking for a trusted banking partner, Bancroft was lucky to find that partner in Signature Bank in 2015. With Signature, personal service goes beyond a login and a PIN number. My staff and I have the comfort of knowing that we're dealing with real people who know our business and care about us as individuals. Signature helped finance our new state-of-the-art facility, and Bancroft looks forward to further expanding business opportunities for disabled veterans and historically disadvantaged communities.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Listen up. I'm talking to those of you who wake up day after day with joint pain in your knees, maybe your shoulder, ouch, maybe your hips. Hi, Amy Jacobson here, and let's talk about real, lasting relief. People here in Chicago are reducing the inflammation, getting mobility back, getting their lives back. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in cellular therapies. What's that? QC Kinetics uses your own body's healing properties in those achy joints. Cutting-edge treatments that require no surgery, no drugs, no downtime. You know, the choice is yours. You could continue with the steroids and daily medications, pursue surgery and a long recovery, or you could see if you're a candidate for regenerative treatments. Find out with your free consultation at QC Kinetics. New locations in Crystal Lake and Gurnee. Saturday appointments available. You've got nothing to lose. Do it. 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Attention maintenance coordinators and chief engineers. Welding is a craft requiring highly skilled personnel and specialized equipment. But who do you call when you need welding? Vans Industrial can perform all types of welding at your site or in their shop.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. As a metal fabricator and installer, welding is a huge part of our business. At Vans, we have trained AWS certified welders, skilled in welding all types of alloys. We can weld carbon steel, stainless steel, brass, and aluminum with a variety of techniques, including MIG, TIG, and stick. We have equipment to reach the farthest parts for the tightest areas of your facility.
Vans uses only the best and safest union-trained mechanics insured at the highest level to perform the job right. Call 833-VANS-IND to schedule your welding project today. That's 833-VANSIND. Visit vansindustrial.com. That's VANSindustrial.com. Vans Industrial, working safe since 1964.
Hey guys, Donald Trump Jr. here. Let me ask you this. Does inflation feel worse than what we're being told in the news? That's because the official inflation rate doesn't tell the whole story. Since January 2021, the cost of living has increased by 17.9%. You can't get that money back, but what you can do is stop your losses today. How? By diversifying your savings into a gold IRA from my friends at Birch Gold Group. When you're done, your money will be parked in a tangible asset with a proven history. To see how it works, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word PROTECT to 989898. I trust Birch Gold. They provide an easy process to roll over your 401k or IRA into gold without losing your tax-advantaged status. So text PROTECT to 989898. That's PROTECT to the number 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRAs from Birch Gold.
Message and data rates may apply.
It's 8:09, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this look at the roads, a service of Crosscom Public Adjusters. Handling an insurance claim for your home or business is already difficult. Crosscom will help you maximize your claim and get what you need. They've helped thousands. CrosscomPublicAdjusters.com. 41 on the inbound Edens, Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy right now is at an hour and 20. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike inbound, 1 hour as you begin your trip in from 390 into the old post office and climbing right now. Dan Ryan is set at 34 on the inbound side, 95th into the Burn Circle interchange. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Warm day today, intervals of clouds and sun. A high today pushing 78. Partly cloudy, mild tonight, low 63. Partly sunny, windy, less humidity tomorrow, the high 70. Sunshine, a very nice day on Wednesday. High Wednesday afternoon, 73. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
64 at O'Hare. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. I noticed on the city-run media here, the local network affiliates, including WGN, a big story I see in heavy rotation this morning is Dalton Supermayor Tiffany Henyard facing eviction for non-payment of her mortgage, I guess.
Yeah, she and her boyfriend live together. No, it's rent. They haven't paid their rent in a while, and they're going to be kicked out October 22nd if they don't, or they have to go to court and mark them.
Whatever. Fonnie Willis, Nathan Wade Redux. I get it. Yeah. That's a big story. What's happening in Dalton, really? And a related story that is not a big story. BLM Brandon wants the Chicago Public School District to take out a $300 million loan to cover the costs of the higher teacher salaries and pensions, associated pensions, per the contract demands that Stacey Davis Gates and the Chicago Teachers Union is making.
Demanding.
$300 million loan. So we're very concerned about Tiffany Henyard's credit rating or credit worthiness. the mayor of Dalton. We're not very concerned about the Chicago Public School District, which, by the way, is largely financed by all taxpayers in Illinois. That's where a majority of the funding comes from the state. The fact that it's junk rated in terms of its creditworthiness. And so the $300 million loan that BLM Brandon wants CPS to take out would end up costing taxpayers about $700 million. You could get a better deal at payday loan stores. But they don't care because you don't care. We don't care. Good John Cass column over the weekend, America's Deadly Sin of Doing Nothing, over at johncassnews.com. He was mainly talking about on the national, international stage, but it applies to the local stage. Cass writes, how do the government high priests of this dangerous sect, the left, that would lead to murder and anarchy move to accomplish their goals? How do they kill, maim, and hurt? How do they destroy nations and allow serious corruption to flourish and metastasize? How do they seed madness and anarchy, the same kind of anarchy that you watch in the big democratic cities when corporate titans shovel millions upon millions of dollars at Black Lives Matter? All they must do is one thing, nothing. Nothing. The deadly sin of omission. And that's what we have here in Chicagoland. I mean, we have definitely some sins of commission, but the sins of commission are allowed to persist, metastasize, be scaled because of the sins of omission created by people who know better, but don't want to be bothered to do better or are afraid to do better. $300 million loan to cover that would cost $700 million to cover 9% salary increases for teachers that are already on a per capita basis the highest paid government school teachers of any big city in the country. And what do we have in the city? We have more than 3 in 5 school buildings underutilized, more than a third of CPS schools that are half empty. But you got to keep the Potemkin Village up. You got to keep up appearances because it's a system designed for the adults. But where's the hue and cry? Other than from honkies like me? Well, somebody who is certainly not guilty of a sin of omission maybe can help us answer the question, where or when will the hue and cry be expanded beyond the ranks of this show and Wire Points and Pastor Corey Brooks, senior pastor of New Beginnings Church in Chicago, South Side, founder and CEO of Project Hood as well. Corey, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
So, part of what you're doing with the huge community center you're building is going to be in the direction of formative education for kids in your neighborhood, the neighborhoods you serve. But I mean, just this larger play, against the backdrop of this sort of phony fight between CPS and CTU that involves Brandon. I mean, it's just more of the same dance that we've seen for 30 years. But where is the hue and cry, particularly from like alder humans or these self-styled community leaders that are presiding over communities that are not only violent and decrepit, but they're increasingly depopulated?
Yeah, it's very unfortunate that we have to continue to go down this cycle every single year or every several years with the teachers union and the schools. And, at the end of the day, our schools are suffering. Our students are suffering. In our neighborhood, we have a 4% reading proficiency, a 6% math proficiency. So while they put up these fake fights, it's our students that suffer the most. And it's very unfortunate that we are not making more of an outcry in our neighborhood, and leaders like myself, we have to start standing up and letting people know what's going on, because I'm real. Other than your show and a few other shows, there are very few people who are talking about the issues that we're experiencing, and something needs to be done about it. It needs to be talked about. It needs to be, if there's going to be protests, these are surely the type of issues that we need to be protesting in our community. But because so many of our leaders in our neighborhood have bought into this post-60 liberalism and this progressive politics, we see the issues that we're faced with.
I mean, we talked to LaShawn Ford pretty regularly, who I like, a personal level, he's state rep from the West Side. And, he's a smart guy. But so we try to walk, you walk through the logic of this and the evidence that is all around him and all of us. and you just can't get him quite over the threshold on the sort of system change that you're engaged in a private way on the South Side. And I mean, I don't know, and I don't know that anybody has the answer to it, or it probably would have been implemented. But I mean, do you see other green shoots besides yourself where you like see people that are getting it and saying, okay, we've got to do something completely different. We can't sort of ignore all of these gaping chest wounds, literally and figuratively, in our neighborhoods anymore?
I think the numbers are growing every single day. I think the fact that more and more people are waking up to these type of policies and the type of politics that we've been following in our community for years shows that it's not working. More people are starting to say, hey, because this is not working, we want to do something different. We need an alternative. And I think it's important for people like myself to continue to give people an alternative and to continue to show some conservative principles that work. And I think the more we do that, people are going to see that the things that we're trying to make happen in our neighborhood are far more better and superior than the progressive policies that we're experiencing. So I think it's moving. I think the numbers are increasing. I think more and more people are buying into it, but we got to keep our foot to the pedal, and we got to keep saying these issues over and over, and we can't back down in the face of the power structure that be and the system that is in place.
Well, there's about 100 schools that need to be closed because of underperforming students, but really low to no attendance. Why is it racist to close schools?
Well, I don't think it's racist to close schools. I think what's racist is not having school choice, not giving parents an opportunity to put their children in places where they can perform and get the quality education that they need. I think what's racist is for individuals to say that it's all right for my children to be able to go to private schools and for me to send them anywhere else, but you poor kids, whether you're black or white or Hispanic, because you're poor and impoverished, you stay exactly where you are. I think that's what we have to fight for, and I think school choice is something that could even the playing field, and it's something that we desperately need in our neighborhood. If we don't get it, we're going to continue to see our children fall further and further behind, and eventually there's going to be such a gap that cannot be closed.
I mean, is it just the case that they just have the numbers and they've got CTU has round numbers 30,000 teachers, and then you layer in the other public sector unions, and they just have overwhelming numbers, and you just can't beat the numbers because there are just too many people that whose livelihoods depend on the way things are, and you just can't overcome that. I mean, you can do it. You can do it on the margins. You can do it one kid at a time, like you're doing it, or a few dozen kids at a time, or a few hundred kids at a time, like you're doing it. But in terms of citywide, they just they've got their hooks into the larger metropolitan population for good.
Yeah, I think some of that is true. I think that they're so large and so big that it's hard to take them on. But, all giants do fall. There are some Goliaths that can go down. But we have to support the Davids of the world. We have to support those individuals who are trying to fight the system. And that's the reason why, I ask for people to support Project Hood, and I'm not shy about it because I believe that we have something that works and that we have something that can challenge the system and challenge those individuals. But we have to resource them. We have to get behind them. We have to provide time, talent, and treasure to organizations like the one we have so that we can fight the good fight and so that we can spread what we believe to be a better way, not just on the south side of Chicago, but we need to put it on the west side of Chicago and all of these areas that are having tough times. So I think part of what you said is true. It is a big organization, but I never will believe that they can't go down.
What's happening where you live and work? I mean, we get these competing characterizations of the incidents of violent crime because of competing statistical aggregators, although we find out the FBI is missing 118 murders from last year in Chicago, so probably not as reliable as they would like to, as the politicians in Illinois would like to have people believe because they're undercounting. I mean, you recently had a death very close to you. Your godson was killed on the streets of Chicago. I just wonder, even just anecdotally, because that's how people live, anecdotally, what you feel is happening with the mission field you're focused upon.
I think the mission field that I'm focused on it's a tough field. Here locally, exactly where we are, things are getting better because we work to make them better. But outside our concentric circle, there are people who are still experiencing a tough time. The violence is still rising and violence is still going up. And now you add the fact that we have a lot of illegal immigrants, undocumented immigrants who have been let into the country and let into Chicago. Statistics have been saying on the news that there's an alarming rate of murderers and rapists that have been let in with there are a lot of good people, but there are also a lot of bad people that have come into the country. And some of them have ended up smack dab in Chicago, on the south and west sides of Chicago. And because of that, crime is increasing. You're seeing more sex trafficking. You're seeing gangs started to fight one another. Not only that, you're seeing gangs starting to collaborate. And I think that's one of the things that is being overlooked. The collaboration of Venezuelan gangs and black gangs is coming together is going to create even more of a major difficulty for people who live in communities like ours.
Yeah, that's been an issue that's been reported on by both the New York Post, talking to New York police officers, as well as actually some gang leaders or gang members who've spoken to the press in Chicago about. I haven't heard so much about the collaboration, because most of the discussion was there are potentially coming gang wars with Tren de Aragua, this big Venezuelan gang, and some of the local gangs in places like Chicago, New York. But you're saying there's more collaboration than there is confrontation. That could be even more frightening.
Yeah, Tren de Aragua, they're trying to press their way on Venezuelans themselves. But there's a group of Venezuelans who are fighting back against them. They don't want to be taxed. They don't want to submit to that gang leadership anymore. So they've started some of their own gangs, and some of those gangs, I know for a fact, are collaborating with black gangs. There's a gang down the street called the Black Disciples, but the Venezuelan gang down the street has started calling themselves BBD, Venezuelan Black Disciples, and so they're collaborating, and they're into it with Tren Aragua. They're into it with them, and so that's the type of thing that I don't think people are paying attention to. That's only going to grow, but you don't know those things if you're not hands-on, if you're not really in deep in the community, entrenched in the community to find these things out. I know them because I'm entrenched in the community. I try to keep my hand on the pulse of what's going on, and these are the issues that we are facing every single day, and people need to know about it, but it's happening.
Well, and if that does happen, and what you're describing continues in that with that trajectory, then you're going to see the body count on the streets increase, aren't you?
You're definitely going to see them increase. And anybody who does not believe that BBD exists, Venezuelan Black Disciples, all they have to do is go to 61st and King and ask some questions, and they'll see for themselves some Venezuelans and Black disciples who have started to connect with one another. And we've had, in the last month, 3 shootings, murders in that area. Now, are they tied to that? I don't know, but it's highly likely because they didn't happen months before that, and so people need to realize that the increase of murder is going to happen. I mean, how can it not increase whenever you let all these murderers into America, and they're undocumented, they don't know where they are, and they're in our communities? That's going to be a problem, and we need to pay more attention to it. That's the reason why this upcoming election is so important, because we need to get a hold of our borders. We need to make sure that we're not just letting people undocumented illegally come into the country. They need to follow the process, and they need to do what they need to do to become an American citizen. It's not that we're against immigration. It's that we're against illegal immigration. And so we're against open borders. At least I am. And so I want to welcome people to America, and I want to welcome people to our community. I want to be here to open our doors to everyone, but I want them to do it legally.
Yeah. But do you think people in your community or your friends, do they agree with you?
Absolutely. I mean, you can go anywhere in our neighborhood, and most people are going to feel the same way we feel. They're going to they're going to tell you that, listen, we're already burdened. We're already overtaxed. Our educational system is failing. crime is happening. The last thing we can afford is to have illegal immigrants in the city, in our community. The last thing we can afford is to take more burden on an already burdened system. And that is exactly what we're seeing. Even with Project Hood, right? We're trying to do something to transform our neighborhood, but we have to take monies every single day that could be used for the building that we're building across the street that costs $43 million. We have to take some of those funds and help people who have come here illegally, because they come and knock on our door, they need help. And so because we're Christians and because we're part of the church, we can't take the and just say, no, we can't help you, turn them away. We have to help people, and some of those same funds are the funds that we have to use to build our community center. But we can't do it because we have so many families coming every single day, and it seems like the more we help, the more they show up.
Yeah, and then those many of those same people lamenting what has transpired will be heading out in the next couple of weeks to vote for Kamala Harris, too. And so it goes. Corey Brooks, senior pastor of New Beginnings Church of Chicago, founder and CEO of Project Hood. You can support Project Hood at projecthood.org, projecthood.org. Corey Brooks, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Thank you all, and keep spreading the good news. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, we'll do. Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Go with your gut. Your dog's immune system is based in the gut. A diet lacking in nutrients can cause itching, scratching, and a weak immune system. However, there is a solution. DINOVITE. Dinovite.
It took a grand total of 2 weeks. The dog stopped itching, the hair stopped falling out.
Try Dinovite for free. Just pay shipping and handling. Learn more at dinovite.com/radio.
Happier, healthier with every bite. Over 1 million pets helped with Dinovite.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024 by USA Today, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, just $189.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 500,000 happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Okay, just got it. Hear the sound? New bottles of Balance of Nature. Love it because I don't get enough fruits and veggies on my own like most of you, and that's why we all take Balance of Nature. With 6 capsules, you're getting 10 servings of 31 different fruits and veggies. It's so easy. You can crack the capsules open and dust them over a salad or mix them into juice drinks or warm water. That's how I do it. And it makes you feel great. Thousands of AM 560 listeners love their Balance of Nature, and you will too. Here's what you do. Do something for your body, your heart, and your mind, and do it today. Call right now for your fruits and veggies. Fruits and veggie supplements from Balance of Nature. This is the number. Now is the time. 800-246-8751. Use coupon code Chicago to save 35% off your first set and free shipping when you sign up as a new preferred customer. That number again, 800-246-8751. Call now or order online at balanceofnature.com and use coupon code Chicago to save 35%.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll return to the presidential horse race and review all the happenings over the weekend on the trail with Scott McKay from The Hayride, as well as the American Spectator. Scott McKay talking POTUS politics at 8:38.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
66 degrees, sunshine right now at 8:31. With the death toll steadily rising from Hurricane Helene and its remnants, President Biden is set to visit the impacted region this week. Meantime, the governor of South Carolina moments ago updating his state's death toll figures from Hurricane Helene.
Tragically, we've lost, we believe, 25 of our people due to this storm, and we don't want to lose any more.
Nearly 100 all told are now believed to have been killed. Many more are missing. 2 million are without power. A direct message for the people of Iran this morning coming from Israel. Fox's Nate Foy has the very latest from Tel Aviv.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Iranian people. He blamed the regime for their suffering, and he spoke about peace coming soon to the Middle East.
Iran's tyrants don't care about your future, but you do. When Iran is finally free, and that moment will come a lot sooner than people think, everything will be different.
Meanwhile, Israel's Yoav Gallant told troops in the north today the next part of Israel's plan may include them going into southern Lebanon. Hezbollah said this morning it is ready for it.
The shipping industry is waiting to see if thousands of longshoremen will walk off the job this week at ports along the East Coast and the Gulf Coast. Music icon and actor Chris Christopherson is dead at the age of 88. Christopherson died Saturday at his Maui home with his family at his side. He won 3 Grammys and a Lifetime Achievement Award for notable songs like Me and Bobby McGee. Several Metra train lines experiencing service disruption this morning. Milwaukee District North, Heritage Corridor, UP Northwest, all experiencing problems with signal issues, mechanical issues, and positive train control trouble. A man wounded after a shooting and crash on the near west side early this morning. It happened around 1:42 a.m. in the 200 block of South Ashland. And a woman was shot Sunday evening on the city's near south side in the Chinatown neighborhood. She was hospitalized in fair condition. The scene of that shooting very close to a CTA Red Line station. Chicago sports, Bears bounce back with a 24-18 win over the Rams at Soldier Field. The baseball season closes out with a Cubs loss to the Reds and a White Sox win over the playoff-bound Tigers. The news service of Quick Delivery Service. Visit quickdelivery.com now when you need same-day delivery of your routes, ground delivery when you need it from safe, licensed professionals. Go to quickdelivery.com now to schedule your delivery. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager reacts to the debate.
You wonder why they always have these debates, nearly always, at left-wing media sites. I mean, are we still playing this game that the mainstream media are honest brokers? I mean, it was 3-1, 3 against 1.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. It's been shocking to witness the handling of the 2 assassination attempts on former President Trump. They've been downplayed, and Trump has even been accused of bringing the attacks on himself. In normal times with any other nominee, the investigations would be leading the news. We'd know about the attackers. Those who played important roles in saving a politician would be profiled and valorized. Instead, the attacks have been allowed to fade from public consciousness. Television and print media figures have sometimes subtly and sometimes not so subtly engaged in what's known as victim blaming. Yes, blaming Trump. The media handling of the assassination attempts has been morally reckless. By the downplaying and the victim blaming, they've essentially normalized 2 assassination attempts. It's an evil genie, and it's not clear how to put it back in the bottle once it escapes. This behavior needs to stop now.
I think one of the things that patients don't realize is that when they get a joint replacement, that's not a lifetime treatment option. And they're probably, if they are a younger patient, signing up for multiple surgeries down the road.
As a physician and medical director for QC Kinetics, Dr. Caravelli's seen a pattern of trending joint pain. Prolonged medication, steroids, then surgery, possibly another surgery.
So a lot of our patients are trying to avoid or put off surgery, and this is the treatment that can help them do that.
QC Kinetics extracts your body's healing substances, concentrates them back into your aching joints to help heal and restore those areas, providing lasting relief.
Oh, I love being able to tell my patients, before we do this surgery, let's try another option. Let's see if this is right for you, because now they might not have to have surgery at all.
Call today for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I love the product because I'm already here at almost 80 knocking on my door. When I started taking Balance of Nature, I'm telling you, it wasn't a month after that, maybe 2 months after that, I started really feeling the difference.
I love Balance of Nature. I will take it to the day I die. It's wonderful. I feel so much better. I'm telling everybody about it, and I just feel better. I mean, it's just amazing how much better I feel on this stuff. I got excited about the product because I started feeling better. They asked me, does it work? I said, yes, it works. You got to try it. It will work.
Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com and get this special offer by using discount code Chicago.
8:38 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of Bank of America with powerful digital solutions for local and global businesses so you can make every move matter. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. Bank of America NA copyright 2024. Kennedy 90 minutes. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Ike outbound accident right-hand shoulder right at 25th. Dan Ryan coming inbound, beginning to melt away a bit from earlier highs, now down to 28 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Tri-State still slow northbound between the Stevenson and 47th. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Clouds and sun today, high 78. A mild night ahead, low 63. Mostly sunny and 67. Your next news update at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. In addition to Israeli PM Bibi Netanyahu, there's another important speech given before the UN last week as they convened in New York. And that was by Argentinian President Javier Milei, who continues to advance the flag for free minds and free markets, and he is willing to advance that flag even in a place that is generally hostile to it, like the UN. Here's in part what he had to say, but I would encourage people to go online and watch his full 15-minute speech.
The same thing always happens with ideas that come from the left, is they're designing a model in line with what human beings should do, and when individuals freely decide to act otherwise, they have no better solution than to restrict, repress, or cut off their freedom. In Argentina, we've seen with our own eyes what they have done at the end of this path of envy and sad passion, poverty, anarchy, and a total lack of liberty. We still have time to choose another direction. I want to be clear so that there's no poor misunderstanding here. Argentina is going through a profound process of change currently, has decided to embrace the ideas of freedom. These are ideas that say that all citizens are born free and equal before the law, that we have inalienable rights granted by our Creator to life, to freedom, and to property. These principles that are setting the framework of the process of change that we're undertaking in Argentina are also the principles that will guide our international conduct from now on. We believe in the defense of life for all. We believe in the defense of property for all. We believe in freedom of expression for all. We believe in freedom of worship for all. We believe in freedom of trade for all. And we believe in limited government, all.
In other words, we believe in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It used to be a calling card of this country. It used to be. By the way, that was obviously a translator. Milei is not transitioning.
Okay, he's not becoming Martha.
Just to make it clear. Yes. I bring this up because Kim Strassel had a piece in the Journal the other day, in which she talked about the Trump campaign messaging. And basically, her argument was that Trump is in a dead heat with Kamala Harris because his campaign lacks a topic sentence. Milei has one. By contrast, if you accept Strassel's viewpoint, which I do, I don't necessarily agree with what she thinks the topic sentence should be. But in the last 4.5 weeks before the election, the topic sentence, the big question, do we have clarity on that from Trump? To help us wrestle with that topic and others, we're pleased to be joined by Scott McKay, publisher of The Hayride, senior editor at The American Spectator, and author of the book Racism, Revenge, and Ruin, as well as King of the Jungle. Scott, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me. And happy Monday to you.
Yes. Trump lacks a topic sentence. Do you concur?
Well, I'll say this. I'm not as satisfied with Trump's topic sentence as I could be, because to me, ever since RFK Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard came on board, this is the ruling class versus the country class in as clear a relief as you can get as a referendum where this election is concerned. And Trump is the candidate of the country class. And so, your topic sentence is, hey, we've got to reclaim our country from this deep state, incompetent ruling elite, and I'm the only real choice you have in order to fight that war. And so you got to vote for me because Kamala Harris is a ruling class puppet. Like, to me, that is it, and I think there is a significant majority that can be had if you can get that message across between now and November 5th.
Well, don't you think she'll say anything she wants to try and get into office and then go back to her original policies on climate change, on fracking?
I don't think there's any question about that. I mean, she is everything that people hate about politicians, as Joe Biden was. I mean, these are people that have I'm not going to say they don't have any principles, because they do. Their principle is political power. I mean, and anything that results in getting more is a good thing, regardless of what effect it has on the people you have power over. They're not for doing good for their constituents or voters or the country at large. They're for perpetuating their own power, influence, the grifts that come from that, and so all of their policies run from that. And of course, they'll lie about anything. And Kamala Harris lies about working at McDonald's. That's how bad off. I mean, prior to her, I don't think that it was ever contemplated by an American politician that lying about having a job at McDonald's was a path to power or influence or popularity until she came along. And so we're in a little different place than we've ever been.
Yeah, well, she was raised in a middle-class family, Scott. I don't know if you've heard. The
heard that allegation.
So you're seeing the same thing everybody else is saying, which is when you look at the horse race and the polling that comes out every quarter hour, Trump takes the lead in a majority of the battleground states. No, Kamala takes the lead in a majority of the it goes back and forth. So what's your handle on the race right now? What do you think?
Well, I don't think you can poll anymore at the standard that we're all used to, right? Polling became a thing when you could hit up everybody's landline and at dinner time and get people on the phone answering, right? Now you don't, because everybody has caller ID. Everybody's getting spammed, and so if you don't recognize the name on the caller ID, you generally don't answer the phone. And so now they're having to splice in online surveys. They send you a text with a link that you have to go to, and then you can answer their poll. And I just don't think it's overly scientific, and I think you run into a lot of problems with response bias because, and they've studied this, and it's actually real. old white left-wing ladies answer every single poll, and they skew all of the numbers. So and everybody else is generally either too busy or doesn't really believe in polling. And so, like, you have to get in front of so many people to get an even remotely accurate poll done that I don't know if it's even possible to get accurate polling.
No.
So I like all of that makes me just tune the polls out completely. I think it's a close race. I think all of the dynamics of 2020 are still there, except Trump is clearly doing better than he was in 2020. And so there is reason to believe, regardless of all of this, that Trump's probably in this race, but you never, ever, ever assume that you're going to beat a Democrat, because the Democrat, generally speaking, will do whatever it takes to win, with no limitations on that.
Well, tomorrow night's the VP debate, and I know a lot of people don't vote for president on who they pick for VP, but two people I would never want to debate is Dan Proft or J.D. Vance. Are you there, Scott? Oh.
Did we lose Scott?
Yeah, we.
Oh, Scott, you're cutting out on us there. You're going to readjust your satellite
But according
phone.
to CNN, they said Tim Walz is very nervous about this debate, and they've been using Pete Buttigieg to be a J.D. Vance stand-in over the weekend after he left the Michigan game.
That's a close approximation. P-Butt for J.D. Vance? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Do we have Scott or Scott gone? Oh, okay. All right. Well, we had Scott for a time. It was enjoyable.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group. And I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney. And the truth is, I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney or if I look like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. At Wesley, we've helped over 40,000 families cancel their timeshare without me being an attorney. And I want to share with you how we do it. Just give my office a call, and you will not talk to an attorney. And I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare, or you'll pay nothing.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. Call 800-823-5544. That's 800-823-5544. 800-823-5544.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, we're back. Do we have Scott McKay again? Scott, are you with us?
I'm here.
Okay. I don't know. So anyway, the question that was left hanging when you cut out was your prognostication about how tomorrow night's VP debate will go.
Well, look, of the four on the campaign trail right now, J.D. Vance has been the best and the most effective. Now, whether that's going to translate into a great performance at the debate, I can't say. But, you know, Tim Walz is, I mean, the latest news on Tim Walz is that he's at the Michigan-Minnesota game, and he got pretty roundly booed by the audience. So I don't know that Tim Walz is reaching the target audience that he was supposed to.
Was he coaching the Golden Gophers on Saturday? Did he coach?
I don't know.
He wasn't even wearing the Minnesota colors. He was wearing Michigan colors. That is such a turncoat. You don't do that when you're governor of a state.
Yeah.
But anyway, on the way out, he allegedly flipped off some fans. So I can't wait for J.D. Vance to get under his skin tomorrow night.
I think that Vance, because Vance has a good way about him for doing that. He's a very effective troll when he wants to be, and I think that people won't be put off by that because they kind of expect it from him now. And so Vance can be as snarky and as disrespectful as he wants, and I think people will just generally respect the show. So I think getting under Walls' skin and baiting him into coming off as the creep he is key for Vance. And I think that most people, it's the VP debate, so you might as well do it, right? You don't have to come off as presidential in this. So, this could be the most fun of the bunch.
Well, to your point, too, about ruling class versus country class, I'd love J.D. Vance to press Tim Walz on. So I just want, to understand, growing up as a poor kid in Appalachia and then making my way to State University, Ohio State, and then making my way to Yale Law School and finding some success in business, that makes me a sellout? Those aren't good things in Tim Walz's America?
Well, and add to that, it's like, China didn't pay for me to take 30 trips there.
Yeah.
If you want to talk sellout, then maybe you can explain that. I mean, to me, that has not been given the oxygen that it needs. This guy got paid by China to take 30 separate trips there, and he apparently was giving out Mao's red book to the school kids that he was bringing to China. Okay, I mean, this is a totally obscure kind of Dennis Miller quality reference. But if you guys ever saw Volunteers with Tom Hanks, like that movie from back in the 80s,
yeah, of course.
Tim Walz is Tom Tuttle from Tacoma, Washington, that John Candy played in the Chinese turn,
right.
And he becomes a Manchurian candidate that spouts Mao's quotes all day long. That's who Tim Walz is. And I think that it would be a good idea to make him out to be that guy, because he's very clearly that. I mean, he governs Minnesota as though he was a Maoist, and he's got this history that needs to be exploited.
Scott McKay, publisher of The Hayride, senior editor of American Spectator, and author of the books Racism, Revenge, and Ruin, as well as King of the Jungle. Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
This is David Hochberg with an emergency mortgage alert. If you're purchasing a new home or refinancing your existing home, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. It finally happened. After 30 long and excruciating months, Fed Chair Powell just lowered interest rates a half a point, which means credit cards, car and home equity loans will be lower and less expensive. Most importantly, mortgage rates have dropped to their lowest levels since last February. The past 3 years have knocked out over 60% of our competition, who are back in the mall spinning pretzels and folding underpants. Team Hochberg's weathered the storm and is ready to help you, your friends, and family reduce your rate and monthly payments. If your interest rate is 7 or above, call Team Hochberg now. Not when you get home, not tomorrow, now for a complimentary mortgage review. 855-563-2843 or 56david.com. That's 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061.
Exercise and a healthy diet can help, but that can be hard, especially as we start to get older. It's like the choice between taking the stairs or waiting for the elevator. Sometimes the easier option can be tempting. But just like choosing to take the stairs, you can choose to get a variety of 31 whole fruit and vegetable ingredients. Balance of Nature supplements are formulated from the best ingredients available, and it's as easy as taking 3 fruits and 3 veggies capsules every day. It's a small commitment, but it can help you feel your best. Start your journey with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Dan Proft here for Northridge Prep. Northridge Prep is a great place to be a boy. What does that mean exactly? In short, it's thanks to a foundation of an all-boys environment that builds your son up into a man of intellect and character who loves God. The teachers and faculty members become mentors to students. And when you combine that with an atmosphere that's fun, competitive, and challenging, it creates an exceptional experience for your son. And the result is that the boys just love Northridge. They've been educating boys for nearly 50 years. And one of the things that stands out to me is their commitment to partnering with parents. Now, you hear this a lot with schools, but at Northridge, the parents can't stop talking about it. They built a community that really works together. Raising kids is difficult these days, and at Northridge, you can be confident your son is on the right path. They're having an open house on Sunday, October 20th for boys in grades 6 through 12. Register today at northridgeprep.org. Again, that's Sunday, October 20th. Register at northridgeprep.org.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, so quickly, were you watching the Alabama-Georgia game? If you were, Trump, I thought, had a brilliant campaign ad hitting it hard to Kamala.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery. For prisoners. For prisoners. Every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
It's hard to believe, but it's true. Even the liberal media was shocked Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners and illegal aliens.
Every transgender inmate would have access.
Kamala's for they, them. President Trump is for you.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
You like it?
It needs a little bit more of a thematic. It needs to be referencing back to some larger message, that topic sentence that we were talking about with McKay.
Today, plenty of sunshine, warm, high in the mid-70s. It's now 9 a.m. WIND.
Helene is now born.